Hello. Howdy, howdy. Hi, dude. DJK2. How's it going? It's almost literally what I said in chat a second ago. What's new? What's new? I'm always messing with volumes. Like constantly changing volumes on you guys, sorry. Guess it's just my thing. Alright. Hey, what's up, Funky? How you doing? Good to see you. Back. I'm back. Took off last Saturday for a couples things. And now I'm trying to figure out what I should do today. One thing I was like pretty sure was that there's like no limit to where I can put towers, so I can kind of just plop them on top of each other and stuff. So I should probably fix that. There's a lot of things that are sort of half done, so really I could start almost anywhere. I think I want to set things up. Maybe. Sorry, talking to myself. Maybe what I want to do is like keep working on towers, because I think that's where the fun is. I think we need to find the fun still. There's not a lot that towers can do, and also I want to set it up so that you can have different towers and kind of cycle through them and pick the ones you want to place and not just always have the same tower. So that stuff all sounds like things I want to do and find the right place to jump in. Okay. I think maybe even before I do that, I want to area spawner. Let's look at our spawner script. So I think I want to set up the enemies to spawn in like progressive waves. Right now they're in waves, but they're all identical. So I think that we should set up the waves to like ramp up basically. And I'm not sure what a super good way to do that would be. I have a kind of an obvious way, which is a human being setting every single wave in terms of how big it is and how long it takes to spawn and that kind of stuff. But I think probably a better way to do it would be mathematically. Rounds or levels. Yeah, kind of. Maybe. I mean, I think the base game is sort of... I don't know. I mean, I could go a couple ways. I guess it depends on what exactly you mean there. Like, maybe we're not moving from one map to another, because it is supposed to be a multiplayer game where you're just kind of fighting against each other and competing. So I think it's going to just be one map, continuous play, but certainly with waves and stuff. I think another part of the game design... Whoops. I just turned off the cam, sorry. Another part of the game design is that you're sending waves to your opponents. So I think we need to... like, I want to get to that part, but I know that the networking aspect of it is going to be a little bit tricky. So I'm sort of pushing that off a little bit longer, I think. But I think that's what I want to do, is I want to find one good tower and then set up enemies to come in waves, and then maybe set up even a basic economy of just you're making money probably from killing stuff, and then spending that to increase towers, or get more towers, and then maybe after that I'll do more different tower types. I think then we actually have a game. We can start to drop things in with a balance already somewhat established. So I think that's what I'll probably do. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I think some sort of math formula for determining the number of spawns is good. Maybe we can tweak it with sort of special waves and say, hey, every 5th wave or something, we're gonna have a slight increase in difficulty, and then maybe on the 6th wave we sort of dip down again, because games sort of have these cycles. They don't just get harder all the time. You're usually wanting to like get a little harder, and then like a boss fight, or the equivalent of a boss fight, and then it gets a little easier again, and then you'll get harder again, and it's sort of like more of a spiky curve spiky upward slope, maybe. So I think that's kind of what I want to see if we can figure out here. So looking at our spawner script. This is a very generic spawner script. So I think I want to try to figure out what the variables are that we need here. I think we need to set some base value, which I guess we already have. We have wave size here, but maybe this will be like initial values, and then we will from there sort of ramp upward using a multiplier or something maybe. Okay, so I'll rename this. Let's call this initial wave size. First wave is going to have 10. Sure, that seems fine. And then after that, maybe what we will do is multiply. Wave size increase factor, or maybe wave size scalar. Maybe every time we go, it's another 20%. I don't know if you guys can hear my dumb cat, but she's like wailing. She always does this. So this would be the amount of increase. Like it's going to multiply the wave size. So every time you go, you're going to get bigger and bigger. And so we might want to sort of preview what sort of numbers we're going to get here. Trying to think of a good way to visualize that. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, really. I guess what we could do is just on awake as a debug thing. I'll just do this. If Unity editor, because then it'll only run in the editor, and I don't have to worry about like if I accidentally leave it in later or something. But I could do something like for int I equals 0, I is less than, I don't know, let's say 100 plus plus I. Debug, or let me do it this way. Int wave size equals initial wave size. And maybe that's probably should be just a private variable. Already a float. I've already got the wave sizes float thing. Can't remember where I'm using that though. Oh, I'm doing it right here. Duh. Okay, yeah. That's the thing that I should probably be using. Okay. And then debug.log. This will just print it to the console. And it'll say wave, and then add the I part, then add the wave size as float here, and then we take that number and we multiply it by wave size scalar. I just want to see what numbers we're going to get. 100 waves is kind of a lot, but you know, it's something. It's a place to start. I think ideally I'd actually almost want this to be kind of a curve. But really, if a designer is working on this, they're going to want to like use a spreadsheet to really tune all this stuff. Okay, we're obviously getting some pretty ridiculous numbers here. So it'd be 10, then 12, then 14, 17, 20, 24, 29. Okay, I mean, it's not too crazy or out of hand. We could just play with it a little bit and see where we go with it. I could almost make it, instead of just being like, what would it be? It's going to be A times wave number plus B, almost like a, you know, a pretty simple formula. I guess it is exponential because it's more like A. Yeah, it is exponential. I guess it's more of a polynomial formula, but I could do sort of fancier stuff with it, is I guess where I'm going with this. But like I said, we're going to also want to tune it to have little downward bumps and things, because you want lulls. You don't want it to be constantly like harder, 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 harder. Anyway, I don't think I care about that as much as maybe I did a second ago. But anyways, we don't really need any of this stuff, but I'll leave it for now. What we can do is, to make this pretty simple, is to just, every time we spawn a wave, we do that, this thing right here. Goes there. But yeah, okay, I guess I will get rid of it. Except, sorry, there was one piece that I needed, which was this. Okay, so yeah, this means right here, every time we spawn a wave, we're going to spawn a slightly bigger one. We're going to increase the size of the next wave. And then another factor to consider is the timing of the waves. It's a little bit boring if they come rapid fire at exactly the same amount of time each time. But I think it's another part where I'm like, okay, I think we want to set up a formula to kind of get like a curve that makes sense. It's going to be a slightly upward sloped exponential curve. Fine. I mean, that seems like the right choice. But then we're going to want designers to be able to go in and sort of tune those values. Yeah, I think we're going to want it all to be tunable. So I think I need to make this tunable from the start. Sorry, I'm kind of figuring out what I want to do here. Okay, so let's do private struct wave. And then I'll make this system.serializable. And this just means that it'll show up in the inspector when I jump in there. I can kind of see what's going on and tune the numbers. But here, what I will do, the approach I'll take, which I think is probably the best of both worlds here, is I will pre-generate these values so that I'm not having to manually input every single number, like how big is the wave, how long is the delay. Probably within that at some point we'll want to have multiple enemy types too, so I'll have to worry about all that stuff, but we'll cross that bridge later. But for now, it's just... Gosh, there could be a lot of little details that we have to figure out, but I'll figure that out later. But for now, it's just going to be like how many enemies and then what's the delay. Maybe the delay won't change by default. Maybe I'll just keep a standard delay, or maybe I'll add a little bit of randomization to it. Maybe that's a cool way to do it. Just to kind of keep things a little bit fresh, but then the designer can come in later. And the designer's me right now, but it's like you guys too. If you wanted to tweak this stuff, you can. I'll try to figure out an easy way to make that possible. But we'll be able to go in there and tweak it and kind of make it a little bit more interesting, so it's not all just really cookie cutter the way it'll be initially. Anyways, okay, so let's put in an int here, call it number of spawns. And I don't know what the number is going to be. We'll just leave it blank. I'll say equals 1. And then we'll say float delay. And maybe that's, what do I have there, 10 seconds? That seems like a good starting point. And I guess the other thing too will be the spawn prefab. These are all going to be serialized fields, actually. And serialized field is the thing that makes it also show up in the inspector. Okay, it looks like the cat is not coming through on the mic, so that's good. I'm just gonna ignore her. She always does this. It drives me nuts. Okay, private nav mesh agent spawn prefab. Can I have instance property or field initializers? Instructs. That's a new thing. Okay. I don't feel like that was a rule before. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I struggle with bow ties. I've only done it a couple times. But I got over the hump today. Thank you. How are you doing, man? By the way, I didn't ask. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I just said I was gonna do. But I'll do it again. All right, private void reset. This is where we're gonna initially populate. Sorry, my gears are turning again because I'm thinking about how I want to do this. Everything is like, could get so deep really quickly. Okay, we're gonna start with the initial version of this, which is just the reset. Do we have a reset already? Hides inherited member. Okay, yeah. So I have to do virtual override. No, just override. Thinking C++ land, which means it's probably protected. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so initially populate waves. They can be edited afterward. Yeah, I keep thinking about this. I'm already like, I don't like it. So we're not going to use reset because I think the thing that I really need to do is just to like have a button that we press to say, okay, give me the next wave based on what I have right now. I think that's probably the right thing to do. So the more I think about it, the more I wonder if this just needs to be its own separate file, which I think it does. Okay, so coming back here. Create a new script here. Call it spawn wave. Hey Dylan, how you doing? I am doing stuff. No, what am I doing? I am figuring out a way to do what you call it, tunable waves of enemies. I think it's AI that has an app mesh, right? Yeah. Abstract wave. Elements defined in a namespace cannot be explicitly declared as private, protected. Right. Okay. Cool. Chilling with the kitty cat. Sorry to hear that, Dylan. I'm okay. Pretty good. Can't complain. Wonder if I should turn on the light or open the window. Probably won't. I'll just stay the way I am. I'm pretty good. Just sort of, I don't know. I've been feeling scatterbrain. Like, I just don't really know where to go next on these projects, you know? That's not true. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I really do, though. That's cute. That's cute. That's adorable. Oh, I actually have kind of a favor to ask you guys, and really anyone, but I need some clips. I need some good clips. Because I've noticed that people, other streamers, when they do shoutouts, nowadays they have someone's created a tool where it'll show a clip, which is something I kind of want to play with now that that was already sort of something I've had in the back of my mind, but I don't have a lot of clips, and then some of them are not really that interesting, so try to make entertaining clips of me. That would be super helpful of you guys. So if anything just sort of pops out, no big deal, but if you can. What am I doing here? So I need to create the wave, and then I need to make a custom inspector for it. I think that's the trick here. And I'm already wondering if I've like gone overboard here. Probably have. Probably have. All right. Yep. I think I'm just gonna move this back because I don't know if I need it. And the thing that I was actually thinking of doing, I don't think I can do within this file. Can I? No, it wouldn't be a custom inspector for this thing. Would it? Oh no, Dylan. That sucks. Really? That sucks. Like all of them. It broke everything, huh? Do I want it here? I probably do. Let's just leave it here. This is my indecision at work. Alright. I just got a clip. I can see it already. Amazing. Amazeballs. Okay. Here's my brain turning. Okay, I can't remember how to do custom inspectors. I think I just need to pull that up. Let's find that. Unity custom editor. There's a property drawer that I want. I think I want a property drawer. Drawer. Just call it drawer. Property drawer. I want to add buttons in the inspector for creating new waves. My thinking here is I want to like mathematically generate a default set of waves, then have the designers edit them. Just kind of tune them as desired, basically. And then I think though that, you know, I don't know how many waves we want to have, but we probably want to be able to just click a button to create a new wave that would sort of continue that trend of like just grabbing the last wave and then modifying it by some mathematical formula. Yeah, I'm thinking the property drawer because I was thinking this would go inside of the wave thing. And it would be cool if every wave had the button so that you could also insert a wave in between two things, if that makes sense. That was my thinking anyway. Right. Yeah, I'm probably overthinking this because, you know, this is meant to just be a prototype, but I can't help it to some degree. I kind of feel like I want to just do this the right way or the good way or the fun way, you know? This is the fun way for me, is to figure out these things. Property drawer. Yeah, I think really it's a... Gosh, it's so entwined that I think I just need to take this back into the other file. Which is not really where I need to be concerning myself, is it? But I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, this is... Can't make a draw for a list. Interesting. But it would be drawing... If I wanted it to be on a per wave basis, then it could be in a list, right? Because the list is just going to call the property draw for each of its elements. I hear what you're saying, like there's no way to have it be part of the list, like in a singular sense, but if it's per item, then I think it would work, wouldn't it? Okay, so let's just do this. It's such a silly thing. Okay, just keep it here. Keep this here. We're gonna have a list of these things. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. That's how I thought it worked. Serialize field private wave array waves equals wave size of 1. Yeah, I think this is the thing that I need to make a custom editor for. Anyways, all right, let's go back to what I originally had. I'm sorry, you guys. I do this too often, where I'm like, let's just go back and forth on what to do here. Hey, Damazi, how you doing? I'm pretty good. How are you? Good to see you. I'm starting with Unity development today. This project is one that I have been sort of on and off working on for months. I'm so slow. Like, I'm just doing it bit by bit. But it's good to see you. Okay, so let's do this. Reset for now is just going to do 5 waves. We'll just have it do 5 waves. They'll be defaulted to follow the formula. So what waves equals new wave with the size of 5. So maybe I'll just say equals null here. Cool. I was thinking I'll do half and half today, maybe a couple hours of this and then a couple hours of chatbot, because chatbot has been on my mind a lot lately, but I also want to keep going with this too, you know. All right, so for int I equals 0. I can't remember what the link is. Maybe I should open Nightbot and find out what that link is, because you can see what the game is. There's a command for it if you want to just check it out. It's a web build, so you should be able to play it on my Nightbot on whatever device you're looking at, you know, if you want to check it out. It's really bare bones. But let me know if you have any thoughts on it, or bugs. Certainly, I want to know bug reports and that kind of stuff too. Okay, so waves at index I. Thank you, Kiwi. That is so kind. How are you, Kiwi? Kiwi's doing the streamy thing. She's been ramping up lately. Been hanging out over there. Castle Crashers was pretty good yesterday. Good to hear. Happy Saturday. I know, the bow tie. I was like, I gotta wear the bow tie. I only have one. So I gotta wear it every once in a while though. Yes, so this will be, I guess I'll do a constructor here. And I just put the link in there. I don't know if you caught it a second ago, but if you didn't, I should put this in my title, huh? Live build. If you want to see the game that I'm working on in action, you can see it there. It's a little rough. I don't know why I feel the need to keep saying that, but I do. It's a little rough. Okay. I don't know why I put this here. Oh yeah, I do know why. Yeah, I do know why. Okay, number of spawns. So we'll do int size, I guess, and then float delay. And I'll say this dot, or you know what you can do? I just remembered this, that C# does support aggregate initialization, so I should be able to just say it's just a little funky, just a little bit funky and a little bit rough. I can say new wave, and then I think it's curly brace, and they say null I guess I have to create the first one first. So waves at index 0. Yeah, man, you know it. Equals new wave. It's gonna be null. It's gonna be 10, I think I said, and then 10 seconds of delay, right? Can I do that, or do I have to name them? I think I have to name them. So it's spawn prefab colon. Do you not like null? Why don't you like null? That is a great question, Damazi. Honestly, I walked into this with just thinking, okay, this is gonna be a prototype. Like, I didn't really think of it as a full-fledged project, to be honest. Why doesn't it like this? I feel like I'm doing something really obviously dumb here. Do I have to do like that? Okay. Sorry guys, bear with me. I code switch too often, too many different programming languages, so I don't know one from another sometimes. Oh no. Start changing create a window. Oh, that stinks. What kind of extensions did you add? I'm curious. Aggregate struct initialization. So yeah, I think Damazi, like, probably here's my goal. This has been in my head. I don't know if I've said this out loud. I've been doing this for a few months now, kind of putting Saturdays toward software dev, and like my initial plan was, let's just do an event sometime where I just make like little games all day, and chat comes in and they're like, hey, I want you to make this kind of game, and I will. And I'll spend like an hour or 2 hours on it. Obviously, I've spent like 20 hours on this and it's barely gotten anywhere, so I don't know if that's really a good plan anymore, but that was the initial idea. So I just wanted to kind of set up a framework for me to be able to do that kind of really quick development. So things like pushing the build and then having you guys go in there and sort of tune things and say, hey, you know what would be really cool is if this number was this value, or maybe this guy over here did this thing. I don't know. So really, I guess web would be my answer. Web builds. I've always thought that just putting your games on the web is one of the coolest ways to do it. Initialize your list. Okay, so are we looking at C#? Initializing aggregate types. We're not looking at C#, I think. Right? It would be fun, wouldn't it? If I could make that work, it would be so cool. How many games have I made for fun lately? Sorry, before. Created for, well, I don't know. It's hard to say. Let me put it this way. Most of the games that I started for fun didn't get anywhere, so I didn't finish them. So I almost, like, very few is the number. I've done a few. I did a few kind of when I was first starting out, just because that was, like, me trying to break into the industry, you know? And then I got the teaching job, and it was like, okay, that's a full-time job. It's something that I feel like I'm good at. So I kind of shifted focus more to the teaching side of things. And I did contracts and stuff. But as far as for fun, I really haven't done hardly any for fun in like a decade at this point. So it's one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, I want to just do some fun stuff here. Really? Okay. I've never... I mean, I don't run a Mac or anything, so that's good to know. Interestingly, it's not running on Mac OS Chrome. Let me do a quick test. Make sure that I didn't like break the link or something, because it's possible. I think there might be a plugin download for Unity that you need. If you are interested in like sending me like any errors you see in the console or something, I could look into it. Show progress. Console says uncaught type error, cannot read property 1 of null. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say. I wonder if that's one of the things that I just sometimes get. Come on now. It's so bizarre. It doesn't want to load the console now? There it is, okay. Yeah, I guess that's not one of the errors that I get, because I do get a sort of a handful of them that I just don't think I have to pay attention to. Okay, that's good to know. I might have to do a little bit of testing there, and sort of figure out why that might be. Like Like maybe I can just do a quick Google search, and if there is something that I can do easily. Unity WebGL build, macOS, Chrome, uncaught type error. Bug. Fails to parse on Chrome, WebGL. I don't see Mac. Okay, it's very likely due to the macOS Big Sur issue. We're talking about 2021.1. I don't know which version I'm actually on. Oh, I'm on an older version. Okay. It could very well be why. Okay, so I think probably what I want to do is at some point update, which is perfectly reasonable. Maybe not today. But thanks for letting me know about that. I appreciate that. I'll make sure to make a note of that. Here, I have paper in front of me. Update Unity. Alright, sorry that you can't play it. I don't know if you want to try on a phone or anything. I haven't tried on an iPhone either, but on Android it seems to work okay. So, you could try that. Okay, sorry, getting sidetracked a little bit. C# struct initialization structure types is working on Safari. Okay, interesting. All right. Override string, read-only struct. I don't really care about that particular stuff. Initiation of a structured type. Pretty standard, I think. Only structs, compile time. Cool, good to know that you can still see it. How to initialize struct. Alrighty, thanks Dylan. I mean, good luck, really is what I meant to say there. Oh, okay, they want equals, not colon. Oh gosh, I'm thinking JavaScript. That's what I'm doing here. Okay, so yeah, it should be equals here. And then equals, right? And then I think the difference is that they don't have the parentheses. These are private? I think that's why. I think it's my problem, too. Did I not do that? Area spawner is inaccessible due to its protection level. Area spawner.wave.spawn prefab is inaccessible due to its protection. Oh, right. They're going to be private by default. Whoops. That's the old thingy-mabobber. I'll be able to show you what the what Unity editor looks like, too, if that's of interest. Okay. 10.0 F. So this, I think, has to say the name still. Yeah? Okay. That's how it works. All right. Number of spawns equals, and then, did I just call it delay? Yeah. Delay equals semicolon. Okay. So that's thing number one, and actually it was supposed to go here, and then this one will be, I guess what I'll say is still null there, but this one will be waves sub I minus 1, and this is going to start at 1 now. Dot number of spawns, and then this is the same, waves, waves sub I minus 1 dot delay. And I think I'll just keep the delay the same, but I'll keep the number of spawns kind of upward going. I know, I was wondering, like, how much overlap can I do? My goal with the chatbot, by the way, is to replace this thing, because it's very limited. Alright, so this should spawn us 5 waves with sort of progressive sizes to them, and roughly the same amount of time. It's like, I just spent half an hour to do something I could have done by hand in 5 seconds, but, you know, let's not worry about that. Okay, waves, here we go. So 0 there. If I reset it, bam, 5. And then sizes apparently are the same because I did not actually do the thing I meant. Let's do it this way so I can kind of make sense of this all. So this will be times, and then what I call it, wave size scalar. Right? What is wrong with that? Cannot implicitly convert float to int. Right. I guess this has to get converted to an int, so let's just do that. Does that work? Here we go. Alright, let's try that. I guess one issue that I already don't like about this is that they're all have to individually be set in terms of what enemies are available. But now it does have that mathematical progression here, so every time it increases by about 20%, rounded down, which seems fine. Nice, Dylan, that's good. That's, you know, when in doubt, right? Try turning it off and on again. Okay, so I think that what I want to do probably to make this a little bit better as well would be... guess for now we can just grab spawn prefab instead of making it null, but later on I will do something where, like, we're gonna have multiple enemy types, I'm sure. Like, what's a tower defense with just one enemy type? But instead of manually having to set each individual one, I think I'll have like a list of them, and then you can pull from that list. That would be an easier way to do it. So now I can hit reset one more time. Whoops. Yeah, that's not gonna work, is it? Because the whole problem here is having to hit reset is kind of screwing this whole thing up, which is why I need a custom inspector. So I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna say, hey, if we're in the editor, let's write a custom inspector. It should be class area spawner inspector, which is an editor for, and then I have to actually add a using statement here. If Unity editor, and if using Unity editor, you have to do this only if you're in the editor. It doesn't work if it runs in the full build, so I have to make sure to sort of cut it out if it doesn't. I think it's editor, and it's for area spawner. Right? Did I write that correct? Derived from base class to create a custom inspector, non-generic type editor cannot be found with type arguments? Really? Did I do this right? Or wrong, I mean? Unity custom. Okay. Oh, so it derives from editor, and then, yeah, okay. I remember now. Thank you. You do... It's like this. Custom in editor for type of area spawner. Yeah, okay. Thanks for reminding me. See, that's all I need a lot of times is just this little nudge. This little reminder. Okay, so then you do override. Is it on inspector GUI? And then I can just do, I think you want to keep that. I can't remember if you need it, but I'm gonna. And then draw default inspector. So I'll just basically have it be exactly the same as it already is. And just in case this isn't super duper clear, like this menu that you see over here, that's what we call the inspector. So I'm just sort of writing a slightly modified version of this to appear. And right now it'll be exactly the same. You don't want to use it? Okay. Do you know why? Yeah, no, I definitely remember the default inspector part. And I'm just going to add a piece at the bottom. And the piece is going to be, hey, if you hit this button, that says reset waves, I guess. Break serialization. Okay, good to know. Cool, thanks. If you hit the reset waves button, then we're going to have... I can't do it this way, but I can do it with a public function. Reset waves. And so maybe this will all just kind of be here. And normally we do that here, which is fine. But now we can do it on demand as well. Oh, if I have a custom drawer, okay. Yeah, I didn't actually create the property drawer. Sort of changed my mind at the last second and didn't do that, but that's okay. We will say here. Area spawner equals target as area spawner. I can't remember how to declare variables apparently. Target script. Or no, we'll call it target instance. I like that better. Okay, and so here we'll say target instance dot reset waves happens when you click that button. So now we've just sort of increased or improved our inspector just a tiny little bit there. Now it has this button that does not exist. Multi-object editing not supported, okay. There it is. There's that button. Okay, so reset waves. So now, what I can do is grab a prefab. I only have one good prefab. Which I can't even remember which one it is. Here it is. Enemy. Throw that guy in there, and then click reset, and it's sort of pushing that into all of these waves. So now it's at least like, rather than having to use the full reset, I just have this button right here, which makes things a little nicer. Okay, goal object. I also had something in mind there. There's the goal. Size is 10. Okay, so cool. Now we have waves, and I think I'll just leave it there instead of spending, you know, all of my energy on that, which I could easily do. All right, but at least we have waves, and they're going to kind of ramp up. And so now we want to maybe look at limiting the number of towers we can build, and also other things related to that. So what I'm doing for tower construction is spawning at cursor here. And the first thing I need to do is make sure that I can't put towers on top of each other. It's definitely not the best thing. Which I think means that I need to do kind of a ray cast, or maybe even like a cube cast of some sort. So here we say spawn at position. This is already determined. It's an okay spot. If I press input, grab a ray, transform the ray, perform the ray cast here. Okay, so here is where we say, hey, let's see if there's anything at the place where we clicked, or, you know, tapped if it's on a phone or something. Grab the position there and spawn at that position, but we need to do an extra little step here. So this is what I gotta add to do. Check if this will overlap an existing tower, I guess. So we're going to grab that spot. This is already determined where it is. We need to basically draw a cube at that spot. So I think we can do physics.cubecast. Isn't that a thing? Oh no, it's maybe checkbox is what I want. You get a center, you get extents, orientation, which we can be defaulting. Check whether the given box overlaps with other colliders or not. Okay. We have a layer mask that we can use. That seems like the thing that we want to do there. Okay, yep, that sounds like the right thing. Or, I don't know, what do you guys think? Maybe you guys can give me your opinion on this. Should it be more grid-based? Because that's another option, is I just have towers snap to grids, and then that would be a way to make sure they don't overlap, because then every tower would just be one grid point. Whereas this option would be more organic, where you can kind of place them anywhere, but if they happen to be too close to another tower, then you can't. You want grid snapping? QE votes grid snapping. Okay, alright. If we do that, it actually ends up being a bit more work, but I think that's a cool road to go down anyway. Now, I guess the second part of that question is, do we make it like one tower, one grid? Or do we go down the even harder road of, hey, towers can actually spawn across multiple grid spaces. So then you could have like a narrow path and maybe even bigger and smaller towers. I think probably I'll start with just one per square. Hex is going to be trickier. So why don't I say let's do square for now. Let's do square, and I think I'll do one tower, one square, just for simplicity's sake. And if I really feel like I want to go down that extra road, I will, but I'll do it later. Okay. Cool. So then I think our job, maybe it's not too bad, but I think our job will be every time we interact with the world, we kind of have to do a little bit of math to sort of snap it to one of the like rigid grid points that we want to have. So I think I need to put in some grid size behavior here. Let's just do for now. Maybe I don't want it here. Code string. I like have a hierarchy in my brain of how I like to place things. Do they have a tile map? That's awesome. Oh well. I'm in an old version of Unity, so it doesn't sound like that's a thing I could do. I'll have to check that out though. But when I'm doing when I'm creating these inspectors and things, Yeah, Damazi's got a point, you guys. I'm just kidding. Like when I do these inspectors, I like to do them in a certain order. Where's my spawner? Here it is. So anything that's like an object, I like to have toward the top. Anything that's a string, I kind of like right under that. Anything that's an enum, like a drop down sort of thing, I like that to be right under. So I think I'll put it at the bottom. I think I had the right place. Oh, sorry, sort of. Hey, Apex, thanks for the compliment. I actually did my own for realsies bow tie. What version? I think it's been... Oh, is it really that old? Okay, well, I'm obviously out of date here. This is 2020.1. Nice. Yeah, it's not the clip-on. It's like for realsies. Yeah. I probably won't do a bow tie again for like a year because it's a pain. Every time I have to like relearn how to do it. Tile map, place 2D section has some useful 2D things as well. Okay, I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna clicky. Linky. Tile map. Component is the system which stores and handles tile assets for creating 2D levels. Download the editor. Use the grid component. Apex does the streaming thing too. He's a super cool guy. We have known each other for a bit. Right? Real man's tie for sure. You guys can't see just how awful it is. It makes me want to cry. I'm sorry, I'm being dramatic. Apex, I've been wanting to check out Valheim. It looks super cool. Should show us how to tie a bow tie. Do you guys... Okay, do people want to see me fumble through a bow tie? I mean, I will, I guess, if people want it, but you guys gotta let me know. I'm not just gonna do it for Dylan. Okay, so use a component with a grid component or a parent grid component, game object, layout tiles with associated grid, create a tile map. So, like, the thing that I want to do really is just snap stuff to it. Fumble equals content. True, huh? Alright, that's a second vote. Okay, alright guys, we're gonna take a little bow tie break here, I guess. I'm gonna see if I can do this from memory. Here it goes. This is not that kind of stream, you guys, so don't get too excited. Alright. I just did it like, 2 hours ago or something, so it shouldn't be too bad. The struggle for me is just like the videos and things that have people doing it. It goes fast and I can't really figure out what's happening. All right, so first thing you got to do. Sorry, I have to be instructional here, right? So you want your left side to be a little longer. And so the long side goes over first. And I don't ever button my top button because it just chokes me, but you're supposed to, of course, do that. And then it goes over and then through the loop. Okay, and then you sort of want to like just lay it there for a second, and then with the other guy, I think you want to go this way, and you kind of make the bow tie shape, and you pull it up and sort of hold it in place where it's supposed to go, so you can kind of see. It's hard for me to like show you, I guess, but you can see the shape a little bit, you know. I know isn't that awesome? I love it. My wife gets me all the nerdy ties. That's my source for all this stuff. Okay, so the long side goes over. Try to line it up in the middle, and this is where I kind of screw up every time, is like getting it to line up perfectly. And then with this guy, you're sort of folding it back toward yourself, and it's going to be hard for you guys to see it, but like you can see that you form another sort of bow tie shape here, kind of, with a little bit of the tail hanging out. And then you're like, this is the part too, the second part that screws me up every time. It's supposed to be like a loop. Already have sort of broken it, I think. I may have already ruined this run. This run is dead, you guys. Did I screw this up? I did screw it up. I'm pretty sure I did. Super screwed up. Alright, let me try this again. This is what you guys asked for, I guess. Space Invader? I got a Yoshi one. I think that's my only like real gamer tie, which is weird. They're more like just generic nerdy ties. Oh my god. I've already ruined this. Maybe it's this way? Maybe I did it the wrong direction. Maybe that's why it's sort of screwed up. Yep, I'm trying to, my speedrun has failed, you guys. Alright, so we're doing that again. I tried it the other way. Maybe that was what I messed up. But you grab this, you fold it, leave a little bit of tail, and then you feel for like a loop back here, which I sort of am not feeling again. This might be the end. I might have just killed the bow tie for the day, you guys, because I don't think I remember how to do this properly. I feel like I'm missing a step here. I'm like seriously missing a step. Alright guys, alright, I'm cheating. How to tie a bow tie. See, I told you guys that I couldn't do this. I told you I couldn't do this, and you're like, no, do it anyway. What am I missing? Okay, it's more obvious than I think I was prepared for. Alright. Believe in me? Alright, I got this. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're trying again. This is what, try 4? Attempt number 4? Alright, so then I'm looking at the cheat sheet, and it says, okay, we're gonna grab this, and I'm gonna try to like line up my shoulders the way that they're supposed to be. So left. So yeah, we're doing a fold toward the right, like this. And then it goes over. And then you fold it, and it also sort of goes toward the right. And then that goes through this weird loop thing, which I guess is up here. Yeah, that's what was screwing me up. I was like feeling too low. And I can already tell this is not right. It doesn't feel right. You're sort of feeding a noodle through a hole, and then you pull on the end of the noodle. There we go, okay. I sort of maybe fixed it, maybe? Like, you guys can't see anything that's happening, because my hands are just going to cover the whole thing, but here's my even worse bow tie. So then you just pull until it sort of tightens, and then you just sort of try to line things up. That's like somehow 10 times worse than the one that I did this morning. Because I had a mirror, that helped, probably why. And there's a lot of fidgeting at the end, because it's like the ends are totally unbalanced. And they're not supposed to be super balanced, but it's like, it bothers me that it's not balanced. Yeah, a mirror does help. I mean, I've got the camera, but it's also not, like, I don't know which side is which, because I don't know if it's an actual mirroring effect. Okay, I got it. It's not dead. The bow tie lives. It's a little bit worse for wear, but it's there. Alright. Now I missed half of chat. Speedrun. Yeah, I don't know. That was a bad speedrun. Jerry Garcia tie. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, right? Thank you. Alright, back to the thing I was doing, which I don't even remember anymore. Here's my cheat sheet that you guys are now seeing. Alright, cool. Ship it. Yeah, totally. Okay, so... yeah, that's the thing, is I just need to sit down and do it like 10 times. Which is how I got it to work the first time, but then I didn't do it again for like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. Alright, so we're gonna throw in here another... I'm skipping the grid thing, Dylan. I always like to do things my way anyway. So let's call this grid size. So I don't know how big grid should be, but let's start with like 1 meter. And what would be cool actually would be to draw the grid, which I can achieve. So let's try that. Let's say private void on it's jank anyway. Yeah. Private void on draw gizmos selected. And with this guy right here, this is a really cool function that Unity has where if you select something, it'll automatically try to draw whatever you tell it to draw in the window, which is a cool way to just sort of see what's happening. Okay, so what I can do, for example, would be gizmos.draw line. Trying to think of, okay, what's the right choice here? Let's do vector3 start equals vector3.0 minus new vector3 0 grid size. No, let's do it this way. Grid size, do negative grid size, excuse me, 0, 0. And then end will be mixing 2D and 3D, huh? Oh, I did minus over here, so this should be positive. I guess that seems fine. I just need to make sure that I remember how to do this, so let's just do that. This should draw one single line, which obviously is not a lot. It's not really doing what we need to do. So I need to like draw the math out, I think. So if we have 0, 0, then we're talking about here, or no, it's gonna be here to here. So I just need to move up in the y-axis, z-axis. All right, Apex, I appreciate you coming by. You're awesome. Lurk away, my dude. Okay, let's do this. For int I equals 0, I is less than 5, plus I. So we're just gonna draw like 5 in each direction. And then we'll do the z-axis. We'll say, or how about I do this? I equals -2, and then I is less than or equal to +2, and we will do grid size times I. That will draw it in one axis, and then we do another loop that's pretty much the same, but it flips the x and the z values, I think. So I would just grab times I and put it here, and then get rid of it over here. I think that I want to just make this a plus, and then this will be negative, and then this will be a plus. This one will be negative. I think that feels probably better. Okay, I think this will draw them in both axes, in 2 axes, and it's about 5 lines in each. And we can kind of see what size we're working with, and then we can tune it a little bit from there. And that's the beauty of everything in Unity, is it's very tunable. So, here's my grid line, which is obviously incorrect, so let's fix that. Like, one of them is fine. These lines are the way that I wanted them to be, but the other ones I did not do that right. Okay, so this should be I, that's why. I did ×1 instead of times I there. Let's try that. Okay, so now we're seeing grid lines, and they're really small, so that tells me that probably they're not big enough. Like if I throw a tower on top of that, it's definitely not going to be big enough. So that's kind of the whole point of this, was to make sure that I made the grid big enough. So there it is. That's a little better. If I were to try to snap this to that, that actually feels like it'll fit perfectly. So that seems like it's good. I know that we did at some point talk about what happens if the enemies try to like push between 2 towers that are right next to each other. And I don't remember what our solution was. Maybe I could do 2.1 or 2.5, let's say. That makes me feel a little better, because now there's just going to be space, and we can solve that problem later. Because, like I said, everything's tunable. We can just change these things later. It's not that big a deal. So now we've got that, and I'll probably make it a color, just because it's hard to see. Gizmos.color equals color.blue. Should be good. That actually makes it harder to see over here, but easier to see here, so that's interesting. Maybe we'll do... Can you make them thicker? That would be cool. Anyways, I guess I'll just get rid of the color, because it did not really help that much in the 3D view. Okay, yeah. So then throwing back into the code here, we want to modify our behavior a little bit. So instead of like checking if it were overlap, because that shouldn't be a problem, we're going to snap to the nearest grid line, I guess. But we're not going to need to do that here. That actually does not seem like the right place. It should happen... Hang on. Yeah, I think it should happen before we do the raycast. So I think we need another function here. It's like snap to nearest grid line. And then we'll throw the screen ray in there. Private void snap to nearest grid line. Ray. That's super helpful to do is here now. Okay, so what are we gonna do? We're going to trying to think of the math here. I think we're gonna need to basically what's the word for it? Normalize between two grid lines. Okay. Vector 3 point. Oh no, yeah, you know what? I'm thinking about this more. It does actually make sense to do it after the raycast, now that I think about it. Yeah, because here's the thing, like I don't actually know the 3D space yet. This is all, like, if I do it up here, it's all before I've really calculated where in the world we are. So it wouldn't be the right units. We need to do it here. We need to say, okay, let's raycast. And then see what we hit in that position here. Because here, with this hit result, we can see things like, sorry, let me hit F12 on this guy. We can see who we hit, we can see where in space we hit, and that's really what we're going to use right here, is this point position right here. Where's that? Tiles based on that. Specify a single grid tile size, a board size, a number of tiles. Oh yeah, okay, you could do that. I think that that sort of fights against the way Unity is a little bit set up, though, because that would make a lot of sense if I were like procedurally generating the floor, but I'm not doing that. And I think if I did do that, it would be sort of starting over from scratch, where I think this is kind of already here. You know what I mean? So I think that would actually end up being more work, although it is a perfectly valid solution. I think it'll just be more work than I'm willing to do right now. Yeah, spawn it cursor. Okay, yeah, like, yeah, if I were building this from scratch, Unity is much more of a what you see is what you get type editor, where you want people like designers and artists to be able to just throw stuff in and to be able to visually place things and not rely on the code to do it for them too much. But then again, there are some projects that do it that way. This is hitting me in the face. I think I've like massively screwed up my bow tie. Hang on. I gotta like grab all four ends to tighten it. Okay, that's slightly less obnoxious. Alright. Snap to the nearest grid line. Yes. Okay, so the point that we hit point equals hit result dot point. I'll just call it point, I guess. But what we want to do is find out the X and the Y that are greater and less than that. So I'm doing this probably the hardest way I can possibly do it. Lower X equals okay, now I think what I want to do, I have to do like an F mod. I don't know how to do that, but I think I will have to do that. Okay, so float max. How would you use those, Dylan? I'm trying to visualize it, and I'm sorry, I'm like having to think about this for a second. We gotta grab lower X and higher X grid lines and pick which one is closer. So pick which one is closer. I was thinking of using a modulus to figure out the lower one at least, and then from there I could grab the higher one. Mathf dot mod. I gotta figure out how to do a floating point modulus with ceiling and floor. C# floating point modulus. In results, another example using decimal. I'm trying to output a float data type. Result equals 3.14. That actually seems right. Answer equals 20. Understanding how modulus works. Floating point remainder. Z is the result of x mod y and is computed as x minus n times y, where n is the largest possible integer is less than or equal to x divided by y. Specifies the output table. Okay, so it seems like the mod operator might actually work. So float diff to lower equals point mod grid size. Sorry, point dot x mod grid size. So then lower x. I'm just gonna work through the way I'm thinking of this. Point dot x minus lower x, float higher x. Or you know what I could do actually? If diff to lower is less than grid size divided by 2f, then that means we're closer, no, it'd be just 2f. Closer to lower, to lesser bound, right? So then we would say point dot x equals, minus equals diff to lower, else point dot x plus equals grid size minus diff to lower. So this would be closer to upper bound. I hope that logic makes sense. It makes sense to me. This is like, see how far we are from the lower x, and if that is less than half of this thing, then that means that's the way we should snap. If it's not, then we snap the other direction. That's the thought anyway. And then we just have to repeat that for z. Which sort of means I should probably have this in a function. Private float, maybe it'll just be void. Snap to nearest grid line, which is a function I had a second ago. Ref float point or value to snap. I guess is probably all you really need. We would grab all of this stuff, throw that in there. Difference being that we're just going to use value to snap here. Everywhere we had point.x, we're going to use it. And then here we say snap to nearest grid line ref point.x. And then again with z. To the nearest grid line on either side. Whoops. I don't think I even need that. Okay, and then this would actually modify the point so that what we actually get down here is going to be that modified point. So let's try this. Anyone want to place bets? We think it's going to work. It seems to do absolutely nothing. So that's cool. I don't think it's doing anything. I wonder why. Did I somehow do something weird? Oh, I'm using hit result.point, that's why. Okay. Can I just do that? Can I do hit results.point? No, because it's a getter. Yeah, it's not gonna like that. Okay, that's fine. It's because I sort of ignore the output here and I just use something completely separate. So no, I did not get it right on the first try. But let's see if I can get it right on the second try. Seems pretty good. It doesn't seem like it's snapping the way that I want it to every time. Like you can, I don't know if it's obvious at all, but I think it's snapping. Excuse me. and overlapping them with each other, for sure. But they are snapping to a grid, generally speaking. So it sort of works. Let's pause it, shall we? And let's see. How many towers are there in this one spot? Yeah, there's definitely more than one tower in each of these positions. So that's still a part that we haven't quite solved, which is something already there? Probably, if I wanted to put the real amount of work into this, I would sort of keep an array of the towers and keep their coordinates. Maybe even use them as a map? Does that seem like the right choice? I don't know. Because box casting is probably really expensive, but maybe not really, really expensive, but maybe I'll do it anyway. Maybe I'll call this a hack. For now, we will use box or overlap. I think it's overlap box to check if another tower is already there. So it's physics.overlap box. Find all colliders touching or inside of the given box. Or the non-allocating version where you give it an array. I sort of don't actually care what the colliders are. I just want to know if they exist. Is there a version of it that just checks for anything? Layers, boxcast. Boxcast, I think, is center and direction. So I think that's like casting a box in a line. I don't really want that. Checkbox is probably the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, this is the one. I don't actually need to know what the colliders are. I just need to know if there are any. And as long as I use a layer mask and I do that part correctly, then I think I'll be okay. Alright, so checkbox. We're going to need a layer for this. I don't know if I set up a layer for the towers. Can't remember if I did that. Layer is default, so I guess not. So we're going to add a layer and call this tower. And then we're going to throw that layer onto the towers. Do you want to set layer to towers for all child objects as well? Sure. Let's do that. Uh-oh. Yeah, okay. That's fine. I'm like in the middle of writing code, so it's complaining. Trying to think of what's the best way to apply it. I guess what I want to do is add another variable here. Let's do it here. Serialize field, layer mask. Spawned object collision layer, let's call it. Or I'll just call it spawning collision layer. We can't do null because it's a layer mask. Can I just do equals new layer mask? Okay. And then down here we say, oh yeah, you should still be a comment. If physics.checkbox at point half extents, I'm guessing we want half the size of the grid. So new vector 3 grid size divided by 2f, grid size divided by 2f, grid size divided by 2f. And then we want to add a default rotation. So quaternion.identity says don't rotate the box that you're simulating, just put it, bam, axis aligned. And then layer mask can be our spawn collision layer. I wonder what this thing is. Query trigger interaction. What is that? Queries using the global physics. Hit trigger settings. Okay. Got it. Okay, so it's, I think it's saying, does it hit things called triggers, which are like triggers are when you want the user or some object to move through space and then hit some area and then have that trigger an effect, but not to block them. So I think I will just go with ignore for that. Probably seems like the right choice. And then this is an if statement. Use overlap box to check, or I'll call it checkbox, to check if another tower is already there. So the idea is it will ignore the floor, because we don't want it to check for the floor, but we do want it to check for other towers that are already in that spot. And then, so I think what I'll do, just to test it for now, is to say, attempted to spawn tower, but one is already present, and we return. And then later I'll take this part out and just have it do nothing. Okay, cool. So it compiled. That's always good. I guess I'm not going to see messages, am I? No, I should be seeing them, actually. Great. So it's just going to keep going. All right, that's interesting. I don't think I set the layer mask. That might be why. Spawning collision layer. Yeah. Okay, so towers. Cool. So it did. It printed the message down there. So I think it's doing the thing it should be doing, which is great. I think it still doesn't quite snap the way I want it to, which kind of sucks, but maybe I just messed up the math somehow. I also don't care that much. I don't think it's that big a deal. So should work everywhere as well, not just on those particular lines. So that's good. Okay, I mean that's giving us a step toward more order and less chaos. It looks like the enemies do try to route around the towers, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's just the way we want this to be. It also looks like we can continue to spawn outside of the area, which is maybe not the best. So I think I'll approach it this way, where I want to pull up layers. Maybe instead of calling it towers, I will call this no tower spawning layer. No tower spawning. And so now I have this layer where I can grab any object and throw that on there. And boom. Now we should not be able to spawn anything in any of those places. So over here it should do nothing. Over here it's fine. Always snapping to grid. Here nothing. So yeah, I think it's working. I think it's working, you guys. Alright. So next comes some sort of economy here. I want to make sure that this is relatively generic. I think it is. It doesn't really care that it's a tower spawner, which means that we can do it with other stuff later. Okay. Cool. Thanks, Damazi. It's always nice to see you. Take it easy. Funky. Are the mobs trying to attack? Are they just trying to get past so far? Yeah. Right now they just sort of run towards some invisible goal over here. So, I mean, I think we have to have some sort of health meter. Probably this will be closer, but there, again, we can also move the camera. It's not something that I usually do when I'm playing with it, but we can move the camera. So we'll probably add some visual elements there. What was I going with this? Yeah, so we want to have some sort of player, like, resources that we can play with here. I think I already have a destructible, which has a health concept, but that's a little bit different from the health that we are going to want for this. So I think I will just call it like a resource. Let's rename it, because I regret that name slightly. Let's call it resource entity. really it's going to be the script for something that has resources. So I'll call it that. And we're going to have something inside of it that is serializable. System.serializable. Private struct. Yeah. Resource. And it's going to have a string for the name. Public string name. And then public int amount. And then we're gonna have a list of these things. These should be serialized field. I guess they're public, so they're gonna be serialized. I don't need to do that. Never mind. And then we're gonna have an array of these things. So serialized field, private resource array, resources, and then we'll have things like bool has enough, string resource name, return shoot. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to make this into a hash table, which is really where it's gonna ultimately end up. Maybe I'll call this. I'm trying to think. Okay, so this will be initial amount, and this will be resource type. Let's say. So this is gonna be like we're gonna let the designer, aka me or whoever, one of you guys maybe, enter in new resource types. For now, it's just gonna be like health probably for the player, and then money of some sort, and then also how much you start with on each of those things. Maybe later we'll add like a max cap or a min cap or whatever. And then what we're gonna do at runtime is actually build those into something called a dictionary or a hash table, which will allow us to look up how much of each resource we have pretty quickly. So I just need to add in here, it's actually already here, this system.collections thing. So this will be our dictionary down here. And with a dictionary, you're providing two values. You're saying, okay, I'm gonna pass in a key, which in our case will be the name of the resource or a string. And then we're gonna get back a number, which is an int. So I'll call this resource map. And then I'll call this resource types, I guess, because this is really more about what kinds of resources are there. This right here is going to actually keep track of those values as the game is running. So I'm going to return anytime we ask, okay, do we have enough of this resource? And we say int required amount, I guess. We're going to return resource. So let's do this. We're going to say grab amount held equals resource map at resource name if amount held is greater than or equal to required amount. I guess I can just do it this way. I can return amount held is greater than or equal to required amount. So returns whether the given resource has enough, has the required amount. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but you know. I do want to catch typos and things. So I think I want to do something like this where it says if resource map dot contains key resource name is false, then we probably log some kind of error here. We say resource named resource name not found, and then we return false. That way, because otherwise you get an issue with dictionaries and hash maps. In some implementations here, it would create that resource and it would have a value of 0, and so then it would always just sort of be adding fake resources where we don't want them. So here we get a better result. Okay. Cool. So, I don't know, let's just throw in an awake function, private void awake. And this will populate the resource map with initial values for all resources. And then maybe this one could be static, because this thing's going to end up being like a singleton, which is like, hey, you have the script in the world, you want your other scripts to be able to talk to it. A singleton is one way to make that happen. So, trying to think of this part first. So for, let's say even for each, what would it be? Resource type. Resource in resource types. Resource map at resource dot name equals resource dot initial amount. So this will populate that map at runtime when you first run the game. Meanwhile, we have this guy, and we also need to do the singleton thing that I was just talking about. With a singleton, we will, I guess, throw in here a resource entity reference, static reference, private static. Hey, Romedy, how you doing? Romedy, we gotta play Otter of My Life again at some point when I can like fully tune in, because that was fun, but it was goofy. How's Romedy? Oh man, I keep having to like super stretch. Okay. We're still working on tower defense. We'll do chatbot stuff probably soonish. Singleton. Okay, so this would be instance. And I will say, do my stupid bow tie. Sorry, it's bugging me again, where it's like, I can feel that it's uneven. It bothers me, but it's okay. I'll be fine. All right. Public static instance. Nope. Resource entity instance get if actually, you know, I think I'm gonna do this not the lazy version of the singleton. Yeah, we did fail, didn't we? We did fail. I was being kind of a jerk. I was like, let's keep this interesting. I want this to be kind of goofy. But now that I know that we can fail, it's like, okay, well, we have to be nice now. Okay, so return instance, and there's no setter. Okay. On awake, we have to do this thing where we say if instance is not null. Ooh, nice. I'm excited. See your emotes for sure. If instance is not null, then destroy this dot game object. This right here is another. So singleton is like, hey, let's keep a variable that anyone can reach out and grab to say, hey, show me this instance of the script. And then when the object loads up, if there was already one of that instance, you destroy it. Like you destroy one or the other. In this case, I'm going to destroy the new one. And that's what a singleton is. That's why we call it a singleton. There can never be more than one. It's kind of like the Highlander of coding concepts. Okay, so now we're gonna populate the map. When the object first appears, I'll just call this initialization. Set up singleton instance, and here we are populating resource map. I think pretty soon I'll be able to put out a build for you guys to play with this. So if you're like itching to play with the new features, you will. Okay, populate resource map. I think once I get like an economy in place where we can start to gain points and spend them on towers, I think it'll be a lot of fun. Has enough. Maybe even better here, we say bool. I'll do static bool. You know what? I sort of wonder if I even need this instance thing up here. Because if I make things static down here, yeah, this can be static too. Everything can be static. So do I, Romedy. That's why I do it so much. Alright, I don't know if it even has enough is good. It is, I suppose it is good. Okay, so we're gonna do static bool. Attempt. What would you call it if, like, you take... You see if you have enough resource, and if you do, you take it. Attempt to spend. That's what I think I want. Attempt to spend string resource name, and then int cost, let's say. So I'll pass in the name of the resource, I'll pass in the amount of the resource. Yeah, that seems good. And then we'll basically do if has enough resource name cost, then we will subtract it. So resource map at resource name minus equals cost, return true. But if we don't, then we return false. The false down here would mean, sorry, we didn't have enough, we couldn't buy the thing. Attempts to spend cost amount of resource name returns whether it was successful. Okay, so here we are. I'll show you what I got. Newest couple things here, Romedy. I don't know if you were here last time, but I spent a lot of time not doing anything that you could really see. My bow tie, man, it's bugging the heck out of me. All right, it's fine. It's fine. Ignore it. So now we've got towers being placed in grid, which is kind of cool. And we've also got it set up so that the number of enemies will sort of gradually increase. Which I'm just realizing I didn't actually do. I completely lied just now. It doesn't do that at all because we've got those numbers in there, but it's not using them. So I think I need to actually go back to the enemy stuff and modify it a little bit. But yeah, we've got these towers sort of placed in there, able to just zap, and they're able to block the enemies, which is kind of cool. That's like a major mechanic in a lot of these games, and we can't place them anywhere we're not supposed to place them, which is good. Okay, so yeah, I just reminded myself I need to go back to area spawner because we're totally ignoring all of the information that we put in these wave objects over here. Let me just write a little note to remind myself what this is. So here's the thing, we need to, I just need to start commenting all this stuff. Defaults the waves on reset, on attach, or reset. And then this will default waves to some reasonable value. And then this is initializing wave behavior. Okay. So we need to modify this a little bit. We've got spawn prefab. We've got goal object. We've got these things. Great. Spawn interval. I'll call this initial spawn interval. Yeah, I think it's actually fine. Really what we need to do is to keep track of the wave that we're on. This number I think doesn't even get used. I think this has to end up being a float. Which means we're not doing this anymore. Sorry, bear with me. I'm trying to like get rid of superfluous junk that I had up here and then replace it with stuff that makes more sense. Yeah, spawn wave is still using old logic. This is kind of what we're gonna have to change in a minute. I just want to make sure that I haven't broken anything in some terrible, awful way. You know what? I just realized that, like, I'm gonna shout you out again, Romedy. Okay. You know, I haven't been paying attention to whether the cat does the thing that I set it up. Looks like it does. But it doesn't say... Okay, that's fine. I think that's fine. Just doing a sanity check on myself there. Thank you, thank you. I should drink while I'm here. I always bring a full glass, and then sometimes I drink like crazy. Other times I'm like, just ignoring it. Okay. You know what? I just thought of something cool I can do. I'm gonna try something here. Bear with me a minute, guys. Bear with me a minute, guys. Signing in, doing the thing. Come here. Go. Here we're going to it can be trigger type. It can be scheduled. Here we go. Scheduled. I'll call this bounty. Say today's bounty. Clip otter doing something cool. Type will be scheduled. Duration cooldown. What does scheduled mean though? Scheduled messages that will set on a set interval have only 3 scheduled commands at the time. Cooldown above 20 minutes is recommended. Yeah, that's fine. Cooldown is what they're saying. Okay, gotcha. Cooldown in seconds. So what would be 20 minutes? That's like 120 times 10, right? 1200. Save. Duration in seconds, right? Okay, so this will be 15 seconds. Save. Okay, so I added this. Let's see if I can actually do it by hand. Okay, I guess I can't type it in, but every 20 minutes or so he's gonna say a thing. All right, cool. Yeah, alrighty, sorry. Totally sidetracked. I guess that's the name of the game, right? I have a tendency to get sidetracked in these things. All right, what do we need to do? We need to set this up. So spawn waves are good. Wave sizes flow. Okay, anytime we spawn a wave, we're gonna still do this, but really what we need to do is just move on to the next wave. So I'm gonna really just have a private int next wave index equals 0. This will be the next wave in our list of waves that we're gonna be moving through. So initial wave size. Okay, so we're not going to be using initial wave size. We're going to be using the size of the current wave. So let me do it this way. I'll do current wave equals waves at index next wave index. And then down here, I need to remember to increase that number so that we get there. I should have a check now, however, that says if you get to the end, we have to make sure we don't start breaking everything. So if next wave index is greater than or equal to waves.count, is it, or length? Length, okay. Then we're going to need to do a debug.log last wave reached. How's that? Thank you for the otter barks. I need to get more barks in there. I just haven't gotten around to it. If you guys find good otter barks, send them to me. Don't confuse them with sea lion barks. They gotta be otters. Last wave reached. Okay. Last wave was reached. Or maybe I'll do it this way. I'll say, grab that information afterwards. Here. All right. Okay, so we'll say current wave dot number of spawns, and then our spawn function needs to kind of branch out a little bit too. It needs to know nav mesh agent spawn e, or spawn prefab. We'll just call it that. Because maybe I'll rename this to default spawn prefab. Right, okay, so then we need to take current wave dot spawn prefab. Oh boy. Just trying to get these to actually pay attention, and then I think I'm also going to need to take out this invoke repeating, because every wave could potentially have its own little differing thing going on. I feel like, okay, what is happening here? Are you guys seeing this? Like, this is the breakdown of a bow tie. I'm just going to take it off. It's done. We killed it, you guys. My speedrun was not kind to my bow tie. It's now going to be one of those droopy bow ties that just sits there. Okay, so every wave can have a different timer on it, and eventually this actually means... I know, right? Eventually this means that, like, you know, when we get to multiple enemy types, we're going to have multiple things called waves, but they're going to be like one right after the next. Yeah, this is after work otter. We're going to have one right after the next. They might have like an instantaneous spawn. You're not actually waiting any time. You're just going to go straight to the next one. So it's not going to be like a consistent timer. So invoke repeating isn't really the thing that makes sense anymore. So we're going to get rid of that. Yeah, I'm wondering if we should do it as a coroutine. Maybe that's the right choice. Probably is the right choice. Which means we make this an IEnumerator. Which means I bring it back. I just deleted it. Now I got to bring it back. Okay, so we're going to turn this into a coroutine. Exactly, guys. Type namespace IEnumerator cannot be found. Right, system.collections is what we need. Okay, so now we're going to change spawn wave. It's going to be a coroutine. And that just means that somewhere in there we have to say yield. Because the whole definition of an IEnumerator is that at some point it yields. And specifically to Unity, it's like yielding for some period of time. So I guess it's up here. So we're going to say yield return new wait for, or let's do it. Let's actually do it after we grab the wave. Yield return new wait for seconds. And we put in there current wave dot delay. And so the idea is that we start the coroutine, spawn wave, and then when we're done with a wave, we start it again for the next wave. And so, but I'll do it here. I'll say else. Because this right here means we got to the end, so there is no more wave. This right here means we do have more waves, so we'll continue. That's the idea. All right. Waits a wave's delay time, then spawns it and starts the next wave. So it becomes this sort of self-perpetuating process at that point. Spawn prefab. Spawn prefab, yep. GUI. Okay, we've got... Yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to work particularly well to draw waves or to have you guys modifying waves in the window. So this is probably not going to work. Let's just kill draw GUI for now. Can I do that? Maybe I can't. I think it might be an abstract function that I have to write. Okay, it compiles. That's always a good sign, right? Okay, so let's do this. I just kind of want to make sure that that part seems to be working. Let's unminimize, or unmaximize, I mean. Grab the enemy spawner, and we should be able to switch to debug view. Next wave is 1. So we should see that number start to go up. We can wave goodbye to that. That's right. What did I say? I don't even remember. Here we are. Now we're on wave 2. So that seems good. And they should start to get, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, it seems good. Wave 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yep, so it is doing the thing. And they are dying too. You can see them sort of disappear once they hit the goal. Okay, making progress, right? And then we want to just make sure that when we get to the end, it's gonna stop. Last wave was reached, yeah. So there are no more waves. We're done. Dunsies at that point. Okay. Cool. Yeah, having it be drawn in the GUI is pretty cool, but I'll have to figure out how to do that later. Because I don't have anything to handle an array right now, so that could get really messy. Sorry, everybody. For now, you'll just have the 5 waves. Okay, this guy seems to also compile, and so we just need to attach it. Maybe I'll just throw it on here. Resource entity. Switch back from debug mode. Resource types. So we're going to have 2 resources. And they're going to be enemies. Enemies missed? Does that sound good? Does that seem like a good resource? I don't know. Initial amount will be 0. And then we're going to have money. Initial amount 100. I don't know. Okay, and then what do we do with that stuff? A couple things can happen here. What do our enemies have? They have a destructible script. We're gonna need to create some sort of triggering script here for when they hit the goal to have them cost, or to increase my enemy's missed count. So I'll call this trigger resource change. Oh, I just thought of something actually. I don't want to spend too much time. I'm going to try to do this the quicker-ish way, and then I'll do it the way that might actually be really cool. All right, so this is here to allow us to trigger something when we hit it. So it requires a collider, require components. Yeah, look away, man. It's good to see you. Require component type of collider. Private void awake. Not awake. We're gonna do reset. No, we're not gonna do reset. That's fine. Serialize field. Sorry, I'm realizing, like, changing my mind again. Okay, so we will do reset, actually. Private void reset. Why did you get that sort of weird? Oh, I didn't give it a name. Collider. Private void reset. Nice, that's a good emote. I like that. Yeah, alright. New private collider, because there's something built in called collider that they deprecated years ago. Collider equals this dot transform dot root dot get component in children collider. Okay. Grab local collider by default, but allow tuning. So on trigger, enter. Trigger resource change when hitting a trigger. So here I will say serialize field private string resource, no, resource name. And then serialize field private int resource change equals 1. So basically, what resource will it change when we hit the trigger, and how will it change it? And the idea is that this will be, you know, we'll type in the name enemies missed or whatever, and then this will be increasing it by 1 each time. So, if... Oh, I need a tag to serialize field, private string, trigger tag. If other dot tag, other dot, let's just do this. If this dot compare tag, no, it would be other. If other dot compare tag, trigger tag, like, in other words, if we hit the right kind of trigger, make sure we hit the right kind of trigger. Then we're going to say resource entity dot I don't really have a function for this. We just need like a blanket change resource. Static bool modify resource string resource name int change. I want to make sure that this happens. Probably have some blanket function for this. Bool static bool resource exists string name. This stuff kind of probably just belongs in here. Name. If resource exists, resource name, then dictionary, no, it's resource map at resource name plus equals change, return true, else return false. So this is verify that resource exists, prints, logs an error if it doesn't. This will change resource without limitation unless it doesn't exist. Okay, just sort of basic things for like, do we have the right amount of money? Let's change the amount of money. Or in this case, enemies missed is a resource that it basically works the same way. So resource entity dot modify, I think I called it modify? I didn't make it public. I need to make it public. All these functions should be public. Resource entity dot modify resource. Resource name goes here, and then the amount would be resource change. I think that's it. I think that's pretty much all we got to do here. I don't think there's anything else that needs to happen. So coming back over here, make sure it all compiles first off. And I'm just trying my hardest to keep every one of these scripts as reusable as possible. Because at some point, you know, if we do go with that idea where I was talking about, like, just make little games for a day or something, I can just reuse the ones that I've written and not have to constantly be rewriting new things. So trigger tag here for the goal. What did I call it? Goal. Okay, obvious enough. Basic enemy. Trigger tag is goal. Resource name is enemies missed. And increases it by 1. So now, if we keep an eye on things here, I don't know if we can actually see the resource map. I guess we can't. So I need some sort of debug output to tell me what's going on with it. Which means I think I need to make it a global GUI drawable. How do I do this with other things? Spawn a cursor, GUI drawable, yeah. Did you guys hear about the Diablo 2 re-release that's coming out? That's the one piece of news from yesterday that I actually care about from BlizzCon. I'm a little hyped about that. GUI, yeah. I have to do base.draw GUI or no? I feel like I don't. Is it for mobile? That's goofy, right? Like, they're still working on that, and they're still working on Diablo 4 at the same time. So they're just spreading themselves all over the place. I don't know, man. I think ever since Activision bought them and then Tencent owns however much of all of that, I think they've just been, like, money grabbing too much lately. Okay, so we're gonna return false at the end of this thing. Let's do this. For each. I would play 2 again for sure. I think when it comes out, assuming it's not like full price, like $60 or something. It is such a good game, right? I will totally be playing it again. I'll probably play it for you guys. It'll be one of the rare cases where I actually play a game that's technically new. Okay, for each var resource in resource map. Right? Yeah, it's 40%. Epic's too. Oh, you're talking about Epic. Yeah. It's like all the big ones are owned by Tencent. It's kind of sad. What are you gonna do? That's the industry these days. GUI layout dot label resource dot key plus resource dot value. I think that's it. That's all we have to do here, is just to draw each of the resource values that we have. Not editable. Nothing in here is going to be editable, unfortunately, for now anyway. So now we can at least keep an eye on what our values are. I'm going to get to the point where towers cost money and where enemies give you money. And I think that'll be kind of where I stop for today. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. I did not initialize. Okay, equals new dictionary of string to int. Oh, I forgot parentheses. This is C#, not C++. Okay, so unmaximize. And look at tower spawner. Here we go. I didn't give it a name, but there it is. Enemy missed is 0. And we can see them sort of disappear. There we go, up to 10. Cool. So that's happening. That's happening, bros. Alright, cool. And then I think even better, I will do... Trying to think of a way to make that work. I guess that won't really work. I was going to say, when they get destroyed, they should also give me money, right? But not if they walk to the goal and like make it all the way through. I want to make sure that it only gives me money if I actually shoot them. So that's going to be a slightly different story. I'm trying to think of the most scalable way to do this. I guess I will do the thing I was thinking. So for each resource type, we want to add one more thing here. Unity event? No, how do they call it? What do they call it? Unity event. Unity event, right? Yeah. Unity engine.events. Okay. Using Unity engine.events. Let's call this. So we have initial amount. We're gonna have threshold amount. We're gonna have like a substruct here. We're gonna have private. No, it'll be public. Public struct. Event. We're gonna sort of try to tie events to certain thresholds of resources. So we're gonna have a string name, public string resource name, public int amount, and then I think it's unity action. For now, it'll just be a blanket unity action. I think that's probably fine. Actions. Seems good. So this will encapsulate a resource type. And then this right here is encapsulating, encapsulates an event or set of events that should happen when certain values are reached. So I think I'm actually gonna have to grab this, pull it up top, and put it down here. So it's public event array value threshold events. So, sort of thing that this will let us do, which is actually pretty cool, I think. It's things like this. Oh, I just realized that I sort of did this in a weird way. I don't think I need the resource name. Let's just call this event name. So now I can go in here and I can say, okay, when enemies missed reaches the number, let's say 15. No, that's not how I meant to do that. There's one event. When the event reaches 15, then this will happen. It's basically game over is the event name that I'm going to go with. And really, one of the main reasons why I put a string first is just so I can see the name of it right here. I might not ever use this in the actual game. Anyways, for some reason this is not showing up. 0 argument delegate used by Unity events. Do I have to... Oh, I didn't make it public, that's why. Okay, so now... Nope, still not happening. Interesting. Okay, I might be misunderstanding the way to use this. You just want Unity event, right? Okay, it's not Unity action, it is Unity event. That's my confusion. A 0 argument persistent callback that can be saved with the scene. Right, okay. That sounds closer to what I was going for there. Alright, so here we can say things like, okay, when we reach 15, we want to, I don't know, we could like nuke the whole game or something. Like maybe that's just the thing that we do. Or for now, I guess we could kill the enemy spawner. Probably kill the tower spawner so you can't create any more towers. And then show some text on the screen. This will be game over text. Game over, man. And we will center that up. Put it in the middle. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. It's really kind of hard to read, so let's fix that. Make it brighter. But it'll be invisible by default, so it'll go away. And then what we'll do here with the tower spawner is we'll say, okay, when we reach 15, and just for playing around for now, but we can grab that object and we can say, hey, let's enable you. Set active, true. And at the same time, we can destroy the tower spawner. So I'll throw another event in here. I'll say tower spawner, game object, dot, this destroy isn't on here. I guess we can just disable it. That would be fine too. It's like basically we turn on game over, turn off the tower spawner. So you can't really interact with it anymore at that point. So we'll see if that works. I'll put one tower just so that I have something in there while this is all happening. And we can see what's happening up here. Enemies missed a 0, money is 100. Okay, it looks like we killed 2 of them. It's not bad. Okay, so nothing happened because once again I failed a very critical piece of the puzzle. Let's put in here resources not editable. Okay. Big part of the puzzle is actually programming it to pay attention to these things, which somehow I just keep consistently forgetting to do. I'm like, let's write some variables, and then we'll put in values, and then just it's magically going to work, and that's not true. Okay, so anytime we modify a resource, we're going to want to run it through modify resource. So that means right here, instead of just directly modifying things when we attempt to spend, we got to make sure it goes through this guy. So resource name, and then negative cost. Seems good. Okay. Resource change. Right. So then modify resource can be the one place where modify change resource without limitation unless it doesn't exist should be used after checking if there is enough when applicable. This also triggers threshold events. Okay, so here we say grab that resource, right? Okay, so I think what we're having to do I guess I need like a runtime version of this. I'm trying to think of the right way to do this. I suppose that we're gonna have to have another struct. It's not serialized because it's runtime stuff. Struct resource data, which is just gonna be a value. What are we halfling to do? Yeah, exactly. Value here, and then a resource type. Type info, I guess. And then this is not going to be a set of ints anymore. It's going to be actually a set of resource data objects. You seem unhappy with that. Why? Oh, because this also needs to get changed. Resource data. This will be like runtime data about the resource. You know what? I think I've thought of a better way to do this, which will probably save me some headache here, which would be I will hide in inspector a public bool has triggered, which will be false. I think it's weird that they don't like field initializers and structs anymore. I find that strange. It used to totally be a thing in C#. That just means that we have to write our little constructor here. Public event has triggered. You know, I could probably just make this a little simpler. Not worry about that. Same thing down here. We're gonna need a hide in inspector. Public int value, current value even. So now this is going to be a set of resource types that are getting fed in here. Yeah, what we're halfling to do here is write some slightly janky code just to keep track of everything. Like we need a way to know if we've already triggered a threshold so it doesn't trigger multiple times. I mean, maybe later I'll decide I want that to be a thing, so maybe that becomes like an option we can turn off. But for now, and then current value of the resource type is also in there. So everything that we need to know about a resource gets contained here, not just the number. So then this would be resource. Yes. And then I guess we need to add another step here, which is resource dot current value equals resource dot initial value, or initial amount. Why does that seem wrong? Cannot modify members of resource because it's a for each iteration variable. Okay. It's passed by copy, so I suppose this is fine. Let's do it this way. Resource type. I kind of don't like that it's forcing me to do it that way, so I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. For int I equals 0, I is less than... What's the word? Resource types dot length plus I. Resource type resource equals resource types at index I. Resource dot current value equals resource dot initial amount. Resource dot for each. Yeah, it doesn't like for each for anything that's not read only. So for int j equals 0. Or you know what? You know what? You know what? Yeah, I do need a constructor. I'll just do it as a constructor. Okay, default construction occurring here. Should be public. With me, everybody. Initialize, not event. What am I doing here? Should be resource type. Why don't you like this? Oh, right, I haven't finished it yet. Okay, initialize all values, including hidden ones, basically. I think I just want to call it init, in that case, void init. Okay, so, current value equals initial amount for int I equals 0, I is less than value threshold events dot length plus I. Value threshold events at index I dot as triggered equals false. There we go. Okay, just filling in the little gaps here. Just getting the peanut butter and all the cracks, you know what I mean? Resource types is here. So I'll go back. How was your break? Welcome back. Resource.init goes here, and then resource map at index resource dot name equals resource. Yeah? Okay, I think that seems good. We still got a bunch of stuff we need to change a little bit here. Resource map dot resource name dot current value plus equals change. Maybe you seem unhappy with that. Cannot modify the return value of because it is not a variable. Gosh, okay, you're gonna really make me work for this, aren't you? I think you are. All right, just having to move code around to make C# happy because C# has all kinds of little rules, and a lot of languages do. It's got rules about how you can do these things. So modify resource becomes a value here. And so int amount goes here. And I say current value plus equals amount. And so this just becomes... You're about to have lunch that was supposed to be your dinner. All right, I can respect that. You know, I'm all about eat the food whenever, whatever. Resource name dot modify. You don't like that, do you? There's no argument given that corresponds to the required formal parameter. Oh, yeah. Okay, change. There we go. All right, so then everything that would happen there needs to happen up top. So I'm going to say... Basically, all of this summary kind of still applies up here. Change resource without limitation. There's no, doesn't exist because we're already here. We know it exists. And trigger threshold events. Okay, so current value plus equals amount if current value, no, we have to do for int I equals 0. Again, we have to kind of loop through all the events because there might be a bunch of them. Equal value threshold events dot length plus I if let's pull it out. Var event equals value threshold events sub I. Whoops, sub I. Why is it? Okay, I can't call it event. EVT. I'm gonna get a little cheap there. All right. If EVT dot has triggered, then continue. Otherwise, if current value is now greater than or equal to EVT dot amount, whoops, then EVT dot has triggered equals true, and EVT dot actions dot invoke. Long story short, here we say, okay, increase that by the amount that it told us to. And then for all events, we check if it hasn't already triggered, because if it has, we can skip it. But if it hasn't, then we now need to check if it's time for it to trigger, and if it does, then it'll take place. All of which will happen here when we call modify resource. So, getting back to our test, I think I've hooked up all the pieces that we were working on just now. Cannot convert resource entity type to int. Right. Okay, so this would be dot current value. And I think that's it. All right. Resources not editable. That's terrible. That's not going to work. So let's fix that. Because this right here has to say our resource.key, and then value here needs to then be expanded further to show the number, not like try to show the whole object, which doesn't even make sense. Can you guys tell when I'm fidgeting? Like, I think I'm shaking just enough that if the camera's also shaking, I wouldn't tell. Alright, let's just let him through, shall we? The idea, the hope here, is that at 15, we'll see game over and we won't be able to do anything. I do that thing where I wiggle my leg, in case you're wondering. I just like wiggle my leg constantly. This is not changing, so something's broken. So we gotta figure out what's broken. Okay, so this right here is calling modify resource over here. It annoys my wife as well, I know. If resource exists, then resource map gets modified. I suppose I should look at our resources, make sure that they didn't change or break. Enemies miss size 1, game over. No, that seems okay. Modify resource takes in the name. If it exists, then we grab it and we tell it to modify. I think this is, since it's returning a struct though. I don't know if this actually takes effect the way I want it to. So I think I'm gonna need to step through on this. Or, you know what I probably could do, actually makes more sense probably, would be to make this a class. And to make this a class too. I don't see any good reason to want them to be passed by copy. And in that case, I don't think I need to step through. I'm pretty sure that it'll work in that case. Let's try it. Let's try it. I know, it annoys the people around you. I guess you guys can't really see this because it's the camera, but like, this editable part down here. This is where all the magic is happening right here. I can say, okay, game over text becomes enabled, turret spawner becomes disabled. That's basically the thing I'm hoping will happen now. And I guess I could do one more thing to make this less painful, which would be make it go faster. Let's go with 35, or 25, sure. Oh, you know what I need to do? Alright, Game Over Man worked, and hitting Q does nothing, so it is working. I need to refresh this guy. There he is. I wonder if Bounty works now. It does not work. Alright, that's fair. That's fair. One sec. Cutie commands, there you go. Adding one other thing here, just while I'm thinking about it. Cutie commands. Type that to see commands you can give me. Schedule thing. 15 seconds. And then refresh you again. Alright, cool. Just kind of messing with the kitty cat. Alright, things are happening. Game over, man. So that part works. One last thing that I want to do, and then I think we can maybe take a break from this for the... Try something else, do something else. Just make it cost money to build a tower. Spawn cursor. So this right here is now going to need to kind of talk to the resource system. Unfortunately, it's getting a little coupled to the resource system if I do that, but I think I kind of already am coupling it. So that's fine, I guess. Okay. Journalist field. Or you know what I could do? It's fine. I'll just do it. Let's just do it. So we got a prefab on a collision layer. Load out under mouse. Input name, grid size. Okay, let's do this. Serialize. Or you know what? You know what? Maybe it's part of the turret. So we got the turret script. And the turret script is possibly a better place to put cost, I think. So we'll do serialize field, private, string, resource type. Let's do it this way, actually. Because I'm always trying to think ahead here. I'm like, struct, serialize, struct, system.serializable, struct, cost. And it'll be a cost of a certain type. Resource, I'll do public string resource name, public int amount, or price, let's say. And then we can have an array of these things. Serialize field, private cost array of price equals new cost with a value of at least 1. And then of course we can sort of tune that as we want to. Later on we can sort of add multiple resources and things like that. Key here is that when we do all this stuff, when we start clicking around and whatnot, I guess this is gonna have to come from outside of the turret though. Before we create the turret, we gotta see what the cost of it is. So we're gonna need to have a way to get that value. So let's just do this. Public, I'll just do it next to the thing. Public cost, prices, or prices. I don't know, it's an array, so I guess I'll do prices, get, return prices. Why you no likey? Inconsistent accessibility. Right, okay, so yeah, this is gonna have to be public. Got it. Okay, so then over spawn at cursor. I suppose what I could do, because I don't think I'm referencing turret here yet, am I? No. I suppose I could inherit from it. Maybe that's a way to keep it from becoming too heavily coupled here. Spawn tower. Spawn at cursor. Okay, and then the question is, what do I need to override here? I guess that it's spawn at position, probably, that we're going to override. So maybe instead of that, what we could do would be to break this out. Private void process click. And maybe that's protected instead of private. This is protected instead of private. This will be virtual. That'll allow us to kind of add more to it in the subclass. Run each frame. Okay, so for now we just sort of process every click. There's basically nothing to stop us from processing a click, but in the subclass we'll add a little check here that says, okay, here's the tower that you're telling me to spawn. Here's the cost of that tower. Let's see if we have enough resources, and then it will do it. And when it does it, it'll also subtract the cost. So I think I need to include that in here too. Maybe this becomes a bool. And it returns whether the spawning took place, which means that raycast also needs to return a bool. Performs raycast and all related checks if the click was true and nothing blocks it, spawn the tower. Was true, nothing blocks it, spawns the tower. Returns whether a spawn took place. Just kind of like, it's a little funky, but just a little funky, but it has to like send that message back and back and back all the way up to the top level. Nothing I think can stop it from spawning once we get to that part, so I don't think that's an issue. But here we can say, we can get rid of this debug log because it doesn't really help us anymore. We can say return false here, because we didn't spawn something in that case. Here we can return true. Ah, nice. Checkerboard going. You doing checkers, huh? That's cool. Return false would happen down here. I remember ooh. RML UI. Oh, that's cool. That looks neat. Pretty simple. SFML, huh? I gotta learn SFML. I'm taking the engines class in my abundant spare time, so I gotta learn how to deal with that stuff, because I think I'm tired of SDL. I think I want to go with the SFML option. Okay, so then we're gonna return raycast because whatever the result was there. I don't want to like say it's, yeah, that. I was like, I'm trying to be non-specific here, but yeah, that one. Return false. You get through. Okay, so if you didn't press input, then nothing happened here. So I guess that's fine. Yeah. All right, this all seems good. Spawning the tower. Really, we just need to override update and just change it a little bit. Okay, so it's something like if no, I need to change this. I need to change this a little bit. Yeah, I think I want to change a little bit how this works. Let's call this get click. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of basically the reason why I want to do it. Yep. Here we're gonna just return screen ray. I guess this is gonna be bool, and then out ray. Turn true and false. Ray equals new ray. Why are you unhappy? The out parameter ray must be assigned to before control leaves. Okay, fine. So we're gonna do this. Ray equals new ray with garbage values. Great. Okay, so then we do ray equals get click, or ray equals get click. Out ray. No, we do ray. And we say if get click out ray. No semicolon there, and then we do raycast ray. Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Right. So Rimmel UI, I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's basically a HTML protocol for rendering in C++, basically, in a like low-level backend. That sounds cool. I'm gonna rename this. I'm gonna call this raycast to spawn. Okay, do I actually need the output from here? Maybe not, but I already wrote it, so let's keep it. Here we can sort of modify this a little bit, because right now it says, where did I go? Where was it? Hey, if I clicked, then we can try to spawn. Here I'm just adding more logic to it. So we do the same thing, but we also say if I'm like already feeling like I put something in a weird place. Spawn prefab is a game object. That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds really useful. I feel like that's really kind of like that was what Flash was meant to be, right? Was like an interface or a tool that everyone who was interested in UI could play with and do cool stuff with. And then you use Scaleform to like bring it into a game, and then Flash turned bloaty and gross. And it's like, okay, well now HTML is the thing that you really should be using for that sort of thing. So it's good to see that happening. Yeah, exactly. That's cool. I almost need this to be generic, which is kind of sad. I need this to become spawn cursor at T, where T inherits from GameObject, I think. And put T here. And I guess T, rather than T, let's do prefab type. Nice. That's cool. No, that sort of stuff I think is really good. I think it's important. Where prefab type is a game object, not a valid constraint. A type used as a constraint must be an interface, a non-sealed class, or a type parameter. Okay. I guess in Unity we can go with capital O object, can't we? Okay, that seems fine. Okay, so spawn prefab. The question is, does instantiate work with big O object? No. Object.instantiate. Cannot implicitly convert to game object. Right, okay, so this should just be prefab type. Okay, I'm sort of going down this road where I'm trying to keep like the base logic of what I'm doing in one place and then just pull out a little piece of it and expose it so that I can attach some specific stuff for turrets and towers and that kind of stuff. So here's my solution, is to make this generic. And then when I inherit from it, I say, okay, the type of thing that you're actually spawning is a turret or a tower. You know, turret was a script name for towers, basically. So anyways, if spawn prefab at this point, which I have to make protected. Turret is a mono behavior. It is. It inherits from mono behavior. I think technically it inherits from some intermediate class, which is a mono behavior. If spawn prefab dot cost or prices. Let's do this. Private turret.cost array. Turret prices. Prefab. But then your prefab would be a mono behavior, which can't be an asset. No, it can. It's inherits from component. You can definitely reference components. And this definitely used to work. We'll see, I guess, if it works. I'm almost positive that I've done it somewhere else. Like if I look for instantiate, find all. I definitely have done it with transforms. Like here, I'm instantiating a navmesh agent, but it doesn't just instantiate the component, it will instantiate the entire prefab. It's just giving you back a reference to just that component, which I guess is kind of weird when you think about it, but I got used to it. If I'm trying to figure out a way to do this nicely. Let's do it this way, I guess. If spawn prefab dot prices, I have to loop through the prices, right? I'm already like, I keep doing this to myself. I guess it's just the curse of being, you know, an engineer. Like I am cursed by not being able to go fast on certain things. I think I lost that skill at some point. I think if I were in a game jam or something and it was like, this has got to be in by the end of the day, I think I could, but I don't want to. I think I'm becoming more of an architect the more I play around with code and stuff. Because I'm like, I could do this the way that it needs to be done in about 2 minutes, but instead I'm going to do it the way that takes an hour. And I just do that every time. But the thing that I'm trying to figure out here is, okay, we've got resources, we've got costs. I now want to write a function that lets me check not just one resource, but multiple of them. So I need something along the lines of overloading this function. So public static bool attempt to, or I guess rather than that, let's do has enough. Public static bool has enough. I know, it's a curse. It really is. It's like, dang it. I don't know. That's the thing though, is like when I'm doing this for fun, this is the part that is interesting for me, is to find these little tools and pathways and things. I don't think I would have nearly as much fun making games if I didn't have these sorts of things to do. I think I need to move something. I don't know the end of that sentence. Kind of know the end of it. I need to move this somewhere else. This needs to come here. We're gonna have another thing now called a cost. Which is pretty self-explanatory, really. But it just means that now we're gonna put in here resource entity.cost. Everywhere that we had the word cost before. Now it's resource entity.cost. Okay, so then coming back over here, here, we can do a version of this which takes in an array of costs. Or let's call it, I don't know. Yeah, I'll just call it costs. I think that's fine. For each cost in costs. Welcome to programming. Very, very clear stuff going on here, right? It's just the way it works. Just the way that it works, right? Okay, so if... God, how would I do that? Okay, I know how to do it. Bool result equals has enough cost.name cost.price. If result is true, continue, else return false. So basically we check one cost. If we did have enough, then we move on to the next one and we keep checking. If at any point we don't, then we return false. And then if we get all the way to the end and we haven't returned false yet, then we return true, meaning we do have enough. Returns whether all given resources, returns whether all past costs are affordable, basically. Or can be afforded, I think is a bit more to the point. Okay. Hey, I did the thing. That way. It's so awkward. That's probably really annoying, isn't it? I should have that, like, not happen very often. I think I'm more fascinated with the kitty cat than anyone else is. I think that's honestly the truth, isn't it? Let's have you happen like once an hour? Once every 2 hours? Do 45 minutes. That would be 9,000? I don't know. I can't do math. 60 times 45. 2,700. Okay, the best they can do is 3,600. Let's just do that. Make it last a little bit less time. Cool. Things are happening, things are happening. Okay, right, so we need another version of this as well, attempt to spend. Or maybe I'll just do the modify resource version of it, which is not what I just copied. So let's do this, public static bool modify resource cost amounts. So we'll say for each cost in costs, or amounts is what I called it this time. Modify resource amount dot resource name amount dot price. Bool result equals that. If result is true, continue on and do the rest. Return false if not, return true if you got through everything. Should be used after checking if there is enough when applicable. I should have just copied and pasted it, but I'm already committed. This also triggers threshold events. Okay, messy, but we're getting there. And then I guess we have, may as well just do the third one here. I haven't used this function yet, but maybe I will. Public static bool attempt to spend cost array costs. It's like basically the same format, so I'll just copy and paste everything. Except I'm gonna change this attempt to spend, and then this is all pretty much the same. Attempts to spend past costs. Returns whether all costs were successfully paid. I guess I should write out here, warning, this may reduce some costs before checking others. Or may reduce some resources, or may spend, this will spend earlier resources before checking others, because you're really meant to do the has enough and then the other steps separately. And I'll put that up here too. Warning, this will spend earlier resources before checking others. Yeah, that seems right. Okay, so come back over here. We can do something now like if resource entity dot has enough spawn prefab dot prices. In other words, if we can afford the tower, then you do the rest. If we can't afford the tower, then we don't want to mess with any of that stuff. If did click or get click out ray, whoops, then raycast to spawn. What did I call it? I didn't make it accessible, I think. Okay, so this is, that's fine. This needs to be protected. I'm gonna write a little region doodad here. Region, click protocols for different input types. And region. Just so I can sort of hide that and never have to look at it again because it works. Okay, so if you get the click, so if we can afford the tower and we clicked buy the tower. So then raycast to spawn with the ray information from that. Okay, cool. I think this is good. I think this basically is what I wanted here. How much are turrets gonna cost? We start with 100, so why don't we just make it, I don't know. Obviously this is a tuning value. Really what I probably should do is make them rapid fire turrets, towers, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to reduce the fire interval to 0.1. And then prices down here, we're going to go with one price, and it's money, and I'm going to say 50. So now we can set 2 towers initially. Now we need to add something else, which is, hey, when you hit them with a bullet, you gain money, right? Like, that's critical. So let's see if I can find a place to easily slot that in under projectile. On collision, enter. If the thing I hit is tagged as target, using target tag, destroy it. Okay, so here right now we can tell that this is where we destroyed something. Okay, I think what I want to do here is under destructible, add in a I'm going to rename this. I'm calling it cost right now, and I think that's not right. I think I want this to be... Could it just have been a dictionary? Should I just have used a dictionary this whole time? No, because it doesn't show up in the inspector. Okay, alright. Public struct cost, we'll call this resource entity dot what? Resource amount, I guess. It's the best thing I got. It just makes it so that it's not only going to be for spending money or reducing things, it's also going to be for increasing amounts, if that makes sense. Does it really? That's interesting. Sorry, I couldn't mute in time, guys. Interesting. Now I'm curious. Serialize or reference. Dictionary of string to int. Or even to resource type, that'd be kind of cool. Resource map. I don't really care if I spell it correctly. Yeah, I know that you told me about some of them. I'm curious what it looks like above all. Fix any compiler errors. We got compiler errors? Oh, right. This needs to get replaced. It's now on tower. And this is the turret. I don't know why it seems bad at doing that. There you go. Input name is build 111. Grid size is 2.5. That all seems fine. Okay. References must be assets or serializable, I think. References must be assets or serializable. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought that might be too much to ask. I'm curious. I'll have to look it up later. To do. Look into serialize reference in regards to dictionary. This system I have is fine. I mean, you're always going to have like editor time data, edit time data, or compile time data, and then runtime data anyway, so it's fine. Okay, so resource amount. That's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Let's do this. Serialize field, private resource type, resource entity dot resource amount. Drop, or maybe it's an array. Yeah, that's fine. Drops. And we'll say equals no. And then in addition to destroying, you're also going to do stuff with the drops. So if drops is not null, then resource entity dot modify resource drops. Boom. And then puzzles start fitting into place. Score drops here. Or I guess collect. Score is a little too colloquial here. Alright, drops are there. We can get as many resources as we want. We're not doing any string checking at compile time, but I will worry about that another day. Does that seem right? Feels like maybe that's right. Yeah, that feels right. Okay. With one possible exception that I need to check, which is how do they move? How do these enemies move? What are they? Basic enemy. Mesh, destructible. Okay, so I think they're being told to move by the spawner. Not this spawner. The area spawner. Navigation, yeah, this is where it's told to move. Okay, I just wanted to verify there wasn't a second script telling it to get there. But now I'm not sure how it gets destroyed. Destroyed on contact. Okay, it's a separate script. For each string, if the other has that string, destroy. Okay, I wanted to make sure that it wouldn't trigger the same process for hitting the goal, because obviously we shouldn't get money for that, right? That's the idea. That's the whole point of this. Okay. Where do we want our towers? We can pretty much put them anywhere. Resources, just so we can kind of keep an eye on things. Let's put them... no, I kind of broke the enemies. Let's unbreak them now. They should have speed 3.5, I think it was. Boom and boom. I probably put them too close together. It doesn't. I probably can't kill them all anyway. We're not getting any money, so that's not happening because once again I forget critical step. Basic enemy. We need to tell it structable what the drops are. So 1 drop, it's going to be money, and it's going to be, let's say 10. Or maybe just 5. 5 is probably enough. Because then after the first wave we can afford 1 more tower. Seems cool. I didn't set towers. Towers, 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 go. Okay, we're getting money, so that's good. We didn't actually subtract any costs. What's up, dude? Welcome back again. How are you? How are you? Okay, so I'm still missing 1 little piece. We're almost ready for a new build, so you guys can check it out. But not quite. Spawn tower. Got it. Okay, so if recast to spawn. We need to subtract some money, so resource entity dot. I'm good. My bow tie died. But other than that, I'm great. Resource entity dot modify resource spawn prefab dot prices. That seems good, doesn't it? Seems good. Okay, so there's that. Yes, I think that's what we're missing. Try this again. We're almost to the point now where towers cost money properly and we get money from killing stuff, so it's actually got like a game cycle. A real looping game cycle. Pop a couple of towers in there. Alright, dude. Good to see you. Take it easy. I'm actually gaining money, which is super epically awesome. So I gain money for building towers. It's a little backwards. It's a little backwards, but that's cool. So let's just put a little. How do I? That's enough prices. Modify resource. I can't really do negative prices, right? Like that's just not a thing that's gonna happen, is it? No. Okay. God, what's the best way to do this? It sort of feels like it should be really simple. This is an array of prices. Or an array of resource amounts. Which part was it? Yeah, oh, totally. I'm doing it only once so far, so yeah. Right, otherwise I have to do some reference passing that I don't want to mess with right now. Yep, you're absolutely right. Resource entity, not resource amount. What is it? Okay, so I think here's what I want to do. I'm trying to like, how do I make this clean? I'm trying to think of the best way to do this, and I think I'm just going to take a shortcut. We're going to do modify resources. And this time I'll say bool as negative equals false. And it's like results. If as negative, we're going to do it with a negative here. Else, we'll do it without the negative. Yeah, it's not initialized, I know. Yeah, pretty much. Yep, pretty much entirely and completely. Alright, towers. Money is still increasing, so that's evidence that I did not completely fix this. I do too. Modify resource. That should be positive. Spawning a tower. This should be as negative here. It is, it is. Yeah, exactly. Alright, that time it actually costs money. I cannot continue to spawn, so that economy stuff is working. Let's get some kills. Make sure that that's still good. Getting some money out of it. I sort of messed up already. Okay, I was gonna say, I just screwed up. Alright, we can add another tower. Great, we can add more towers now as we go. So it's there, it's working. Alright guys, you guys know what you need to do next, right? I don't know if I'm gonna do any chatbot stuff. I think I might have just used all my energy on this, but I'm gonna need you guys to get in there and start building cool towers and sort of playing with all this stuff. I need it. I need it to happen. Okay, one last thing I think that I want to do. Where's my area spawner? That stuff will have to come back to. I'm gonna change one little thing here. A couple little things maybe. I know. I tried to go about 4 hours, but I was gonna split it 2 hours here, 2 hours there. It's now been 3.5, or no, I guess only 3 hours. Int number of waves to create. So we'll put 5 here by default, instead of hard coding the 5 there. But down below in our custom editor, we're gonna do something like this: GUI layout dot begin horizontal. Oh, you are too talky, cat. Get out of here. We do this. We need to have some other stuff going on. Private int. Waves to generate equals 5 by default. We're gonna plug that number in here. We're gonna say waves to generate equals GUI layout dot int field. Is it just field? Number field? Float field? Really? There's no GUI layout dot number field of some sort? Guess not. Text field it is. That's annoying. Alright, string waves as string equals waves to generate dot string to string rather. Waves as string equals that. Is there a version of this with labels? No. Okay, so we have to do label first. So GUI layout dot label number of waves to generate. And I will rename this to generate default waves. And this will be waves as string, waves as string. And we'll do a little try here, which I regret having to do, but we have to do it. Try. Waves to generate equals. I already did this in another place, didn't I? Try parse as string. Something along these lines. I actually like as string, just seems simpler. Okay, so then sorry, there's a part of me that's like, maybe I should just call this function. I probably should, huh? Probably should. Spawn tower, no, where were we? Area spawner, right? Yeah. Draw float slider with field. It's debug GUI utility dot draw float slider with field. And the label is waves to generate. Or maybe I'll just say wave count, because I don't know how much space I'm really going to have here. Ref waves to generate. Min should be 1. Max is going to be like 100, let's say. And what we get is a bool. It needs to cast to int. How did I do this with integer stuff? I don't know if I had a way to do that, really. I think I was storing int here and then converting to float as float equals waves to generate. As a float. Draw float slider with field, waves to generate. As float goes here actually. Waves to generate equals as an int as float. Cast is redundant? It's interesting. I didn't know that it would be redundant. Okay, and then I could do something like if, just to make sure that we're not doing this unnecessarily. I don't know. Does that really save us anything? I guess. And then we do GUI layout dot end horizontal here. Okay, let's see if that works. This is why we write these functions, so that they can just sort of get slotted in later when you need them, you know? Enemy spawner. Generate default waves 5. Okay, so I can actually generate 100 waves. Which, by the way... let's just do it. Generate waves. Index was outside of the bounds of the array. Never finished this function. That's interesting. Oh no, it is finished. Okay. Right. This number needs to go here. So, do 100 waves. Boom. And the ridiculously high numbers that we get, number of spawns here, this is like millions upon millions. That's actually really dangerous now that I think about it. Maybe not the best idea. Here we go. Here's a number we recognize, 1.6 million. So we're definitely not going to want to get that high, right? 3,000? Nah. 772. That's already kind of crazy. 20 is 300 enemies. 15 is 126. All right. I'm gonna modify this a little bit. I know I keep saying it's the last thing, but you know. Spawn interval. And then we'll do another one of these. Serialize field. Private float. Wave interval. Scalar. Equals 1.1f. So basically, you know, space out waves over time. If we are increasing the number of waves, it does make sense to space them out. Increase wave size over time. And I'm going to do one other thing, I think, for now, which is to make this a struct. Struct wave generator generation settings. are you unhappy? Oh, I can't do this stuff, apparently. Okay, so we're gonna do wave generation settings. It's so weird. Maybe I should just do class. Like, it seems like they're making struct harder to work with, which is interesting to me. Anyway, right. So then I'll just sort of pull this in here. It's public already, so that's good. What did I make this? It was navmesh agent. Okay, navmesh agent default spawn prefab. That'll take care of that. And then this right here will be times wave interval scalar. Hi again, because I reset the cat. Yeah, reset waves, return waves. Why are you no likey the waves? Name waves does not exist in the current context. Yes, it does. Oh, there's a weird semicolon here. Why you no happy? Why you no happy? Oh no, there is a semicolon. There should be a semicolon. Waves equals new array of waves. Return the waves. I don't understand why you don't like that. You know what I'm gonna do actually is put this, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Put this here. I don't know why you seem unhappy. Return. Invalid token return in class record struct. Okay, so I guess I've got too many curly braces, but I'm not seeing where I'm messing up. Like, seriously not seeing it. We got class beginning here. I can fold that up. Seems fine-ish. We got function here. This doesn't actually need to be here anymore. Not all code paths return a value. Default waves to some reasonable value. Format document. Yeah, alright, thanks. Good call. Yeah, okay. I don't know how I missed that. Usually pretty good about that stuff. Good call. Smart move. Alright, delay equals that times that, but you're still unhappy. Right, no semicolon there. You are very unhappy with X range. You are still unhappy. Not all code paths return a value. No, this is still weird. This is still wrong. Okay, so that should be there. This should not be in the loop. Yeah. I'm seeing it now. Okay, finally. Alright. Generation settings, and then we're gonna have one of these. Okay. Can I do this in C# where I just say wave generation settings equals null? No, I didn't think so. Or I guess settings? No. Alright. Serialize field private wave generation settings. Wave generation settings equals new wave generation settings. This is kind of an editor only type deal, so I should probably do something like if we're in the editor, because we really don't need it otherwise. Right, you don't belong here, you belong here. Oh, I'm so confused now. Okay, so there's extra curly brace there. We got an end if. because that's all editor stuff. Okay. I think I've screwed something up really badly. I'll have to figure out what it is. Okay, I guess maybe this is just it. Okay, I think I've fixed most of the weird confusion I was having. All right, let's just grab everything and tab it in, because I think it's definitely necessary. Okay, so here we would just put wave generation settings dot reset waves, which seems good. And then down here, we're putting in here wave generation settings, which we can't do. We need a getter for it, I guess. Or since it's in the editor, maybe I don't even have to care, but I will. Public wave generation settings, wave settings, get wave generation settings done. It's more public than this thing is, so we'll make it public. Yeah? Oh, it should be returned. Duh. Dot wave settings dot reset waves, using the waves to generate, and target instance dot default prefab. No, I don't think it needs that. What are you complaining about? Is inaccessible due to its protection level reset waves. Yep, makes sense. No. It's accessible. Inconsistent accessibility, return type wave is less accessible. Okay, alright, fine. Public struct wave. Okay, let's see if this all works. Sorry, I'm losing my mind, everybody. But I'm not really. It just looks like I'm losing my mind. Just looks like it. Alright, index was outside the bounds of the array, area spawner line 72. I don't know if that's a real error, so let's just kill it. Right, so obviously 100 was just a ridiculous amount, so let's do 15, generate that. Nope, not actually doing anything with it. I know what I did, or didn't do. Let's do waves equals that. And here I say target instance dot waves equals that. Nope, waves. Seems extra painful for no reason. Okay, public wave array waves set waves equals value. Big W. A? A. Alright. And I think I probably am missing one other thing, which is like something to do with inspector. Isn't there like a thing you have to call at the end to make sure that it applies changes? Can't remember what it is. This thing. I think this is what it is. Okay, let's see if that works. Good enough for me. Alright, the last wave has 105 enemies and takes about 38 seconds to appear. That seems okay. I just wanted to give you guys like something to work with, you know, when I make this last build. Something that's not completely awful, basically. Not guaranteed to break your game or anything like that. And maybe what I could do, and this is feature creep at work, guys. I think what I could do is when the waves are done, have it print out some sort of thing. I'll worry about that later. Really don't need that to happen right now. Alright, let's make sure I didn't totally break everything. I don't know, it seems to like default a little to the right side when I place things. I think that's sort of funky, but just a little funky. I'm not gonna worry about it. I did not get any money though. That's not good. Why have I stopped getting money? Oh, it's spawning nothing. Okay. So, let's bring it all back. Let's plop open this guy. Let's throw the enemy in there. This button should have been in there, by the way. That was my intent anyway, but that's okay. Generating default waves. Let's just make sure that they work. Okay, because they weren't actually the right objects getting spawned. That's why none of that stuff was working. Let's try it again. Cool beans. I hope I don't crash anybody's computer from spawning 100 enemies, but 100 isn't too bad, I think. Definitely better than 1.6 million or whatever it would have been. I should look up some kind of a formula that like ramps up kind of in the middle. But then again, like, this is all designer stuff, so I think designers are going to spreadsheet this and then probably just enter it in. So really, I think I would be wasting my time if I went to that much trouble. Okay, let's just build it, shall we? I guess I should check one last thing, which is the UI. The panels. Some of these panels are not going to work anymore, sadly. But some of them do. Like, most of them should. What is this? I don't know. I don't even know what that is anymore. Tower settings. Seems fine. Projectile settings, cool. What can I do? Let's slow down the shots, yeah? Okay, that seems to work. Editing input. Input will be frozen while you close, until you close this menu, yeah. Setting values, yep. Scale, okay. Settings, it's not editable. Yeah, you can't modify the enemy spawning. I think that's really the big thing that's going to be missing here. Alright, so you guys know how this works. If I go and build, it's gonna potentially slow things down. I think I found a solution to keep it from tanking my frames while I'm building. No guarantee at all. So you guys might see me start to slow down, but it's probably the last thing I do today anyway. Just bear with me. Oh, failed. I already failed. Name wave generations does not exist in the current context. Right, okay, that makes sense. Unity if Unity editor. And if. Anyone got any cool weekend plans in the works? Sort of. I gotta do some grading today. Okay, I saw just the first line where it said I ordered a new cat. And I was like, sure, okay, that sounds cool. But no, that's awesome. That sounds fun. Sort of, if you're into that. Yep, there go the frames. Yeah, getting laggy. Alright, that's cool. I'm gonna try sort of playing with this thing that I found. You guys are gonna see all the lag right now. Nope, still going. Opinion on naked cats. I've never had one of those naked cats, but I mean, they seem cool. I mean, they're just cats, really, right? I'm sure they'd be adorable. I'm sure, like, if you ever cuddled one, I'm sure it's like cute and cuddly, and not really that different from a regular cat, fuzzy cat. Yeah, I just lost about 1,000 frames in the last, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. So you guys are probably gonna have some delay. I'm running this software that I found called Battle Encoder. It's the name is a Battle Encoder Shirase, and it says, okay, just grab like a specific process and limit its CPU usage by a certain amount. So I had it at 10%. That didn't seem to be nearly enough, so I'm gonna try 30%. I seem to be at, back at real time now, which is good, so maybe it's working. But I think it already kind of passed the threshold of where it usually slows down anyway. So you guys are probably seeing this about a minute after I say it, I would imagine. But anyways, like I said, this is the kind of the last thing that we're going to do today, because I got some grading that I have to do. I wasn't able to get done yesterday. This is really just going to be a quick sanity check. If you guys are hearing this and you're still here, remember that it's I'd appreciate if you check out the build as soon as it gets up online. I mean, you'll see me upload it and stuff, but check out the build, see if you can find any cool settings to play with, like any cool tower combinations, and send them to me. There's buttons in there for sending stuff to developer that I want you to check out and play with. But if you have any other ideas or whatever, you can also email them or just post them in Discord or whatever. Whatever. Yeah, really. Good luck grading. I know. It's the best part of waking up. Is Folgers in your cup. No, it's the best part of teaching is grading. I'm still here for a couple more minutes, Romedy, but if you're taking off, then, by all means, catch you later. I'll be here for probably five more minutes, I would imagine. 5 or 10, maybe. Just sort of trying to fill the dead space with things, the dead noise. Is what, Dylan? I don't know what you're referring to. Sorry. Yeah, no, I don't. I was definitely being sarcastic. It is not the best part of teaching is grading. No, it's the worst part. Absolutely. Having to talk with someone about cheating or something is kind of bad, but even that's like, they're cheating. How much sympathy can you feel for them? But grading is pretty terrible. Fun, huh? You mean fun for him or fun for the student? Okay, so we're spiking again at CPU. But with 30% reduction, I'm only losing a couple frames. So maybe not too bad. Yeah. We're still hovering at around 30 frames a second, and that's with 30% throttling on that CPU. That's not too bad. Do a test. Count how long it takes for your message to show up, or for me to respond to your message. I will respond to the next message as quickly as I see it. I'll read it out loud, and then tell me how long it took. I did a post in OBS forums for like, hey, is there a way to just pause the stream? If I could just freeze frame it and do the thing, like just freeze, not even the whole stream, but like just the rendering. I could continue to talk to people, we could still do stuff, but not worry about rendering. Like, and just pause it and then pick it back up when I click the button again or whatever. And no one answered. No one had an answer for that. It seemed like it would be a really smart feature to have, to just freeze frame stuff. Yeah, alright, I'm gonna turn up the throttling some more. That's why I saved this to the very end. This is why I save it so long. Oh gosh, the frame drops. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to say that out loud. I did see it probably 10 seconds earlier than I said it. Don't forget the commands that the kitty has. I can't remember what half of them are, though. Bad kitty, I think was one of them. Alright. Where did it go? Where did the build go? Here we go. Alright, so let's make sure that it isn't totally broken. Say hello. Okay. Stuff is sort of here. You gotta tell me how long it takes. You have to tell me how long it takes. How long did it take? Did you guys just hear me say that? Is that where that's coming from? That's awesome. Okay. Yeah, this seems good. This seems to be working the way that I expected. Sort of all the pieces that we put in place here seem to be still there. It's still working. If that's the case, then if you just said that, if you just heard me ask you to type something, then it's probably at least 2 or 3 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Definitely increasing in space. Nice. That's awesome. Hopefully I'm back now. But yeah, I lost almost 6,000 frames. Which would be about... God, is that 10 minutes? No, that's 10... That's 100 seconds, I think. 100 seconds. Not too bad. A couple minutes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's about what I expected. Alright, so I think this is fine. Let's just get Dreamweaver going. 50-second delay. Yeah, that's not too bad. Now running Dreamweaver is probably gonna also freak out. Excuse me. I burped. Okay, so I can kill a ton of this stuff, actually. Let's get rid of all of that. Calculator we don't need. Now we need... Discord we can kill for now. Probably fine. Does refreshing help you? I imagine... I mean, I think people in the past have not really said it helped. But maybe it does. Yeah, that's all fine. I don't think there's anything wrong there. TD Wars is what we're trying to update. So let's just grab the update. Okay, cool. I want to make sure we're in the right spot. WebGL. What's that? What's that? Granddad, nice. Okay, so let's just throw all of this stuff into here. That was no extension. I'm not trying to open anything. Nobody wanted to open anything. Go! Quit! Nobody wanted to open any old thing anywhere. I just want build. That's all I really need. No one's opening anything. What are you saying? Oh, remote server. That's why. Yeah, maybe. I have probably a low range processor, so for sure. It's like an FX 6 core from probably at least 10 years ago. Yes, we're gonna overwrite that. I think that's all we need to do, and then just push that up. Control Shift U for up. I think that's what it is. Do 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 do. All right. Here we go. Maximum call stack exceeded. Excellent. That seems bad. Let's force a reload on that. Okay, maybe that was a one-off thing. Maybe I don't need to worry about it. Resources are here. Towers cost resources. Can't keep building. Also good. Enemies should still spawn. You guys should be able to go check this out if you want to. Make sure to let me know if you find any cool setting combinations in there. We're almost to the point where we can have multiple towers and different enemy types and all that good stuff. All the juicy stuff is coming soon. Seems good. Alright, so that's not broken. So I just need to modify a couple things here, like let's grit updated modification date. Here we go. What is today? It's the 20th. Save that, push that up, and a new version has been modified. You want to save the file? Yes. Okay, I think that's gonna be pretty much it for me today. Let's switch over here. You guys have been super awesome. You know, I learned something today, chat. I learned that Dylan is a really swell guy who always helps me out when I come across some silly little issue. And I learned that Funky is always there for me when I need him. I also learned that C# does not enjoy field initializers in structs anymore, even though I'm almost positive I always used to do that, no problem. And I also learned that snapping things to grid is not too bad. It's not perfect, but it worked, you know? But I learned that Unity has their own version of a tile grid thing, so that's cool. Anyways, let's see who might be online for us to raid. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat, but they're going crazy again. They always do this. Let's see who's online, shall we? "24-hour stream." I don't know what you guys want to see. Rocket League? I got a guy playing Rocket League. I don't know. Let's see what this guy's up to. Yeah, of course. He's driving. Mr. Galeer is driving. Okay, I don't know how interesting that's going to be. Baz is cooking. No, he's not actually cooking. We saw Baz last time though. All right, we're gonna raid Rev. Raid Rev Lovecraft. Rev is a friend, a swell dude. He is playing the Outer Worlds, which